Anybody here have questions, concerns about the 2025-26 budget that we passed? Kirk, no correspondence to you either? Okay, we'll go ahead and close that public hearing. Open another public hearing on amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of Granger with respect to amending zoning district in Code Section 167.18, Beaver Creek Estates planned unit development within the city limits of Granger. I had no correspondence. Anybody here wish to speak about the Beaver Creek Estates? Okay, we can close that public hearing.
All right. Berman,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Chichak,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
and Schreier.
Yes. Make a motion to approve the agenda? Second.
Okay. Chichak,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Berman,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Schreier.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Ed Voss, did I say it right?
Good.
Okay. Voss, go ahead,
I
sir.
just have a question on item 12. Can you elaborate what changes are being made to the requirements for the city administrator?
I believe this is the first reading for, someone correct me if I'm wrong, is this for the mileage? This is for the mileage distance in which the person must live to Granger.
And changing in what regards to that?
That is why this is the first reading.
Okay. I would like to speak in favor of not changing that and having the person have a vested interest in our community other than just a paycheck. I would like to have that person live in Granger. I'd like to have that person drink the water in Granger, since they're ultimately the person in charge of the water in Granger. I don't have a problem with the water, but I think that person should live here, should have skin in the game. My wife and I live here. All my kids live here. I've got 20 family members live in Granger. I'd like to have the person who's the highest paid employee for the city, the full-time employee, the person who works for the city council and the mayor and makes all the decisions, live in the community of Granger. Maybe there could be an incentive in the process. If you want to live here, you get paid this amount. You want to live or somewhere else and be a carpetbagger, we pay you less. But I would like to have at least try to find someone who's willing to live in the city of Granger, or find someone who lives in the city of Granger into that position, before we just throw that out the door and say it doesn't matter where you live. So I would like to say, one, I would like to have that person live in the city limits of Granger. And I'd also like to say, it says first reading. Please don't waive the second and third reading of this, because I feel like there are other people that feel the same way I do. So, obviously, that's how I feel about it.
Thank you. Anybody have anything to respond? We're currently in the application process. We're trying to whittle down where these people are from and what their qualifications are. And currently, at this moment, no one is within the Granger city limits.
So you're not requiring them to move here. I'm saying they could be from Sacramento, California, and be a very highly qualified candidate.
Correct.
I'd like to have them live in Granger, not Waukee.
Yes, understood.
I'm not saying we have to find somebody from here. And I've been asking all people if I'm going to apply. I'm not applying. That's not why I'm asking this question. I'm asking this because I have 20 immediate family members that live in this community. That's why I'm asking this question. I'd like that person to live here as well. And again, I don't feel like I'm the only person that feels that way. So.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak or comment on Mr. Voss's statements? Okay, thank you, Ed. This one I can't read. Subject GF, whoever the second was on the second person to sign up on the public forum sheet.
That would be me.
Okay. Well, it's not Nancy.
I just have a safety issue.
Okay.
This is out at Centennial Park, and I bring this up because I fell here about 2 or 3 months ago, and I don't know why I fell. I don't think the bricks were quite this bad, but now there's no bricks there, so if the city council could kind of look and see if they could make an improvement to that.
What part is this at, Nancy?
That is over by the circle, and this is me after I fell flat on my face.
I'm sorry, I wish, did you reach out to somebody right away?
You know what? My phone rang, and I hurried and disconnected it because the ambulance would have had to come. I didn't want to call it. My mouth was bleeding so bad.
I wish you would have, that's what Robin loved to do, is take care of people, Nancy.
If you just brought the car.
Next
So,
time.
and it was bleeding so bad, I really couldn't use my phone. So if the council could just look at that and maybe put cement there instead of the bricks. When I was talking to Randy Cherry today, he said kids were picking up these bricks and they were all over the park.
I will go take a look at this personally, and I'll pass this along to that guy sitting right over there in green as well, to look at that.
That would be great.
Okay, thank you
He's
so much.
probably gonna lobby it back over here.
Show the parks, not streets.
Well, just temporary, if we can get a temporary solution before this happens again, that would be fantastic. Does anybody want to take claim to the?
That's what she's talking about.
Right.
So,
Anybody that filled in the second spot here on the sheet, or are they just signing up? No? What do I do then, just?
Move on.
Okay. Alicia, is this you or Robin for the University of Iowa proposed project overview and financial plan?
That is me.
Okay.
I have a final presentation for you before you make a decision. I have some slides for you. It didn't make it into the packet, I'm sorry, so it will be in the minutes.
Okay, so that's gonna be right behind you folks, right there.
Yes, so you guys can look on the, sorry, it's not video.
Is everything in the packet gonna be right here as well, so I can follow along right here?
Yes.
Oh, that's one, okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks.
So, Mayor, members of the council, thank you for listening to my final presentation and my appeal for this decision for the community partnership with the University of Iowa. This next slide, I'm going to provide an example of why this partnership is very beneficial to our city moving forward with planning for the future. So, if you look at this hierarchy diagram over here on the right, and it's in your packet. Under Iowa Code, Chapter 272, this council sits at the top of the pyramid. You are the legislative arm of our government for this city. Your legal role is not to react to daily operations with isolated rules or policies or procedures, but to set the overarching policy and vision for the city of Granger. Right now, we're operating in reverse. An example I'm going to use here that's really simple for me to explain, because the process is pretty simple, is planning and zoning as a commission, how they make their decisions. We have individual ordinances and policies that are at the bottom of this pyramid, but they're completely disconnected from a central anchor, and that's a comprehensive plan for the city of Granger. As an example, Iowa Code Chapter 414 explicitly mandates that local zoning ordinances must be made in accordance with the comprehensive plan. I'm going to ask you a question. Does the city of Granger have a documented, mapped, and available to the public comprehensive plan?
Do we just pay for one?
Anybody know?
Yes, we do.
Up until a half hour ago, I didn't know we did because I've been operating under the premise that we did not.
2013 was adopted.
2013 was done when we updated the land use plan within the last 3 years.
Land use plan or?
Land use plan, which is a part of the
So-
comprehensive plan.
I'd like,
The land use plan for the comprehensive plan is contemplated in Euclid versus Ohio, Euclid, Ohio. which is the genesis of all zoning in the United States.
Right.
Where is the comprehensive or land use plan available to the public? Because I haven't seen it, and I'm a member of council.
Website.
Yeah, it's on the website, and the copies of
I gave,
City Hall.
I gave you one in your binder.
Is it in the in the
It's in the
ordinance binder?
binder, your
Not the
council.
comp plan, the land use plan was in there.
The land use plan, but not the comprehensive plan? Okay.
I was always advised that the comp plan needs to be updated every 5 years, so it's been way overdue. It should be
It's
something.
discretion when to update the comprehensive plan, but yes, the comprehensive plan should periodically be updated. How often it should be updated really depends on what level of changes. So for, communities that haven't changed and don't contemplate changes, comprehensive plans can last for quite a while. If you're talking about a rapidly growing city or a city that wants to go in a different direction, then the comp plan should be updated more often. It really depends upon what you really need. My point isn't that you should not need the comprehensive plan. The point is the city does have the underlying documents for zoning as contemplated by the U.S. Supreme Court in the Euclid, Ohio case.
Okay. This is only for clarification, to get that information well. Because we were missing that middle piece, the comprehensive plan, which we discovered we do have one, but the question is whether it's still valid or if we need to update it. That's perfectly fine. Our reactive regulations that we've been making lack that firm statutory foundation. We do still follow the statutory foundation. However, I think there's a disconnect between the top and the bottom, and us operating in compliance with your guided comprehensive plan. But I have a solution that I can provide to the city of Greenwood that will be a benefit, and that is by approving the University of Iowa ISC partnership. You'll fulfill that legal mandate as a council to make sure that comprehensive plan is up to date and it can guide us for the next 20 plus years. So we don't have this question of whether does it need to be updated. It's setting that strategic plan of how we want to grow as a community, guided by you as the council. And if that council changes out, which it will, they can still follow along that comprehensive plan that we have set. By funding and directing the creation of updating the comprehensive plan. And once adopted, again, that will legally justify, coordinate, and organize all of our individual city ordinances, regulations, and our departments to operate effectively. Okay, so we can go on to the next slide. So, what's this partnership for? These are the main three big projects that we proposed to the University of Iowa to help us out with the planning, which is a comprehensive plan for the city, a downtown revitalization plan, which is Main Street and Broadway Street to get that small business district up and driving again. And then also a Parks, Trails, and Greenways Master Comprehensive Development Plan. This partnership won't only deliver these, they'll deliver at least an additional 10 projects for us. And I want to remind you, as the council, you are guiding which projects you're going to work on in the University of Iowa. And then you're guiding the direction of those projects with those various committees of those projects. You are setting the direction. You can go to the next one. So I just laid out my map of the three main planning projects that we proposed to the University of Iowa. And then I have a couple more slides of other projects we proposed. We already know the City of Granger Master Comprehensive Plan, the downtown redevelopment plan, so that's the roadways for our small businesses, the walkways, the business fronts, however you want to guide the direction of us revitalizing Main Street, essentially. And then our Granger Parks, Trails, and Greenways comprehensive plan. We know that we have 5 city parks, only 2 of those are developed. How do we want to guide the development of those other 3 parks in the future? And have a stepping stone plan of how we go after funding for developing those plans. And then also based on a full analysis of what the resources are needed for this community. What is irrelevant, because there are plans out there that have been done in the past for 26-acre park and Triangle Park that are completely irrelevant because it's not resources that we could ever economically keep up or resources that we even need. Go to the next one. Engineering projects. So these are just some examples of various engineering projects that we proposed. And again, you can decide if you want to do these projects, if they're absolutely needed. You can change them up a little bit. If you feel something is needed more for engineering, that's completely up to you. A pedestrian infrastructure and highway crossing study. This is a big one because our surrounding communities are already working on master connections for trails around Des Moines. Brenton Slough is opening next month, and there's a trail going directly up through Brenton Slough. And the ultimate guidance from Polk County and Dallas County is they would like Granger to be that connection hub between Grimes through Brenton Slough and then over to Jester and Johnston, going through Twin Eagles and that area. So what is needed for us is a proper study of how we are going to get pedestrians and bikes over or under Highway 141 and Highway 17. This is a very huge planning process and a lot of analysis needs to be done, and University of Iowa will provide that to us.
Can I ask a question during this one?
Absolutely.
Bob, is the DOT going to listen to the University of Iowa on pedestrian crossing across the state highway?
Well, I mean, if you comply with the requirements, yeah, I mean, it's not can you, it's, you know, whatever you decide you're going to do.
I just know that we've struggled, or you yourself and other people have struggled with everything going on with 141.
I mean,
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they're more concerned about they don't want to pay for it. They want us to figure it out, correct?
you've got 3 or 4 things going on, because you've got a regional planning study where they're hiring a consultant to look at options to connect basically the Brenton Slough to Jester Park, which we've been asked to be a part of, and we've sort of kind of taken what I would say a passive view toward it, because it clearly was coming at it. For example, I mentioned the Turtle Bridge on Xavier. Polk County's position is, well, that's close to Granger, so Granger should pay for a significant portion of the bridge to let the wildlife cross Xavier. We don't have any interest on the south side of Brenton Slough, so there's been a little bit, Kirk's been involved in it, so there is a study going on, and have they picked their consultant yet?
They're, just had a conversation with them last week, and they're getting ready to do that.
Yeah, so they're picking a consultant to do a broad scope of a trail connection. And I think the only message that the city has given that to that group, the NPO, is we don't want the trail to drive our decision-making as far as what we do. Because there was a sense that, and clearly when you listen to representatives of Polk County Conservation, that they would love to have the trail drive all of our decisions for transportation. So in other words, we should develop around where the trail should be. We said, we think the trail is a good idea, but it's not driving. It's not the driving factor. So the one.
Meaning Highway 17, 141 interchange, 102nd, we're not letting the trail drive those decisions.
We've taken no position on where it should be. We just simply said that we'll cooperate as a city, don't necessarily look for a lot of money out of this, because we're kind of on the tangential edge of it. It really is to benefit Grimes and Johnston, is how it's structured. So there is something going on, but if you retain the U of I to do that, they need to be cognizant of the fact that there's parallel activities going on, and the one that's the MPO one is a much bigger scope. I mean, it's looking at, this whole northwest corridor of what the trail connection should be. But the primary catalyst of that is to connect Brent Slough and Jesper Park.
Through Granger.
Yeah.
Yeah, so on the trail piece, Johnston, Grimes, Polk County, Granger, MPO, we're all at the table having that discussion because they want to connect the Brenton Slough to Jesper Park, and we're at the table for that discussion.
We're not taking the point on that.
No.
We're sort of saying, you big boys, you can throw your big dollars in.
But they have asked us to participate, we just haven't set it. I haven't told them any amount, and a little leery to commit to that.
And that's a directive, you could say that this is not a priority right now, we don't want this project done. But I'm gonna flip it on a different concern, taking out the regional aspect of it, and just the concerns of the residents who live over in Twin Eagles, and that area that is growing right now. If they brought to you their concerns that they want somehow to be a safe way for their kids to cross Highway 17 to get to school, would it then be a concern for the city council to come up with a solution and how to do that?
Well, I would.
I'm just generally asking a question.
No, yeah, no, it is an issue. I mean, we've talked about it, and I think I've thrown out when they did the roundabout, we should have put a box culvert under it to allow them to connect. Whether the DOT would allow it or not. And you see kids go through the box culvert now, which I'm glad they do. I don't know.
The DOT will allow underpasses. I mean, I was involved with the underpass under 69 or 65 or 69 over in Montgomery. So that they'll allow it. The biggest issue that people have with underpasses is a safety issue. There's, underpasses they're always a concern about when you've got a long one. Even if it's lit, there's concerns about, people going through there when people can't see what's going on. So underpasses always have that concern. Overpasses have the concern of being ADA compliant. Because any overpass on the DOT has to be ADA compliant. We were talking about a 5% running slope. It takes a long distance to get that trail up to the point where you go over. So you got, and the same way going down, it has to be. So ADA, I mean, you can do overpass, you can do underpass. It's simply picking a location. Now, for example, an underpass works a lot better when the road is elevated compared to the surrounding ground. So you basically have a little bit of an advantage to it. When the road and the ground are the same elevation, you're talking about a pretty good size approach and an entrance and exit. And in a lot of places where the people are, you don't have a space to do it. And if you put it over where you've got space and the people aren't, then it tends not to get utilized as much. So it's sort of a balancing act of like, where does it physically work in relationship to what the demand is. So it's either going over or under. You're not going to get any kind of traffic lights or any kind of pedestrian grade crossing from 117 or 141, particularly 141, because east of 17 they consider that an express. And so you're not going to get anything on that one. I've been battling them all this week on the 141 road. So that's, at some point we have to address connecting the city together. There's no
Okay, so that's just one thing. And then, of course, remember, you're guiding that direction. If you want to completely change how this project is formed and what you want them to focus on, you absolutely can do that as the council, based on the needs of what our residents are and what our city is. Another one is adaptive reuse of the community center into the Granger Public Library. I know it's a big infrastructure cost to build the library, the whole building. We have a building right here in the city property that we could reuse, turn it into an ADA accessible building, and the library properly use this little space for their programs. They're already outgrown what their programs provide, and the kids that attend it, and the citizens that attend it, and plus all of their storage. I don't know if you've seen their storage room, but it's completely packed floor to ceiling, and they need more. This obviously would be a future plan that could guide us in the future if we were to get the rec center of a 26-acre park, which is ideal, but that's where Parks Rec and Community Center would move, and library completely take over this building. So then you don't have costs of building an entire new building just for them. Just an example. Another one is citywide utility digitization and mapping. So this is actually GIS mapping. I am not super educated and knowledgeable in GIS mapping and what all it entails. But I know one of your concerns is work orders for our public works. It would definitely solve that problem, and they would be able to see right there on the map what utilities are down and which ones are upgrading. And then residents can immediately report it. Another one is public works facility needs and location analysis. So this would be a study of our resources and our utilities that we provide in the city of Granger, and then analyzing what land use we have and what city property we have, and where the best location would be for a public works facility. And that's for storage, operations, whatever you guide and direct that to be. As you know, Public Works has storage over at the water plant. They have storage in the tiny garage next to City Hall. They have storage various places, and they don't actually have an area to work out of and operate. So I think that one kind of speaks for itself. Doing that study and analysis and finding out what will be the most efficient and effective for our Public Works department. Moving on to the next one, these are just miscellaneous ones. Didn't really have a title to fall under, but just various ones that we proposed. Senior housing needs and market study. We have not had an actual study done that I know of, but I have seen different citizens voice their concerns through social media, saying that there is a concern for senior housing in this town and they would like more options for senior housing. We do have quite a population of seniors, especially generational seniors that have been living here for a really long time, and they would like options. So it would do a complete market study and evaluate what the best plan would be for senior housing for our senior citizens. City ordinance analysis and modernization. We will department right there at the University of Iowa, and they can completely go through all of our city ordinances and update them up to today's date. So to make them up to date. Liability and risk management for public spaces and parks. I'm also not too knowledgeable on this one, but I know our city as well has an umbrella insurance, correct? An analysis and study needs to be done of our different recreational areas and public spaces just to determine if we are meeting the needs of our litigation risk and risk management for the city. Another one, this one's pretty cool, so that's the only reason I proposed it. It's a 3D digital twin of downtown. So there is funding available in the Main Street Program, Main Street Program USA, to revitalize downtown areas, so Main Street and Broadway. And what University of Iowa can do is make different scenarios in a 3D digital twin, and the council, the citizens, and the local business owners can provide their input and say, this is what we want our Main Street to look like. These are the front facades we want. This is what we want our business fronts to look like. And there is funding out there to pay for it. So we do not have to pay for it ourselves. But it's making that plan for us so that everyone can come together and decide on it, and then we can go after that funding to help revitalize our downtown. This one's a big one. Unified City Branding and Identity Marketing Plan. So this is a comprehensive marketing plan for the city of Granger. As you know, we have an association that is called the Granger Economic Development Association. That is not a city committee. It is an association that is comprised of our local business owners, acting as leaders, helping to guide the economical development of Granger. However, because we do not have a set comprehensive plan, especially for economic development, GIDA, as an organization, cannot go to that plan and say, all right, here's how we need to guide our local plan and how we advertise the economic development of Granger. Here's how we solicit and really be selective of what businesses we want to attract to Granger. So they're really stuck right now, and they can't move forward until Granger itself has an entire plan for our marketing and economic development. GIDA has done some estimates. They've received some estimate proposals from some different planning organizations. Just for that first step of identifying what GIDA is and what the role is and what they want to accomplish with marketing, just that first step alone is anywhere from $6,000 to $9,000. Just to give you an estimate of what kind of cost it would be to go to a separate entity and have that planning done. So once we do make our unified city plan, then GIDA can start taking action and running with it because they'll have that guide. The last one is a city emergency action and resilience plan. I know Dallas County itself is beginning to work on the emergency action plan. We would be able to run from that Dallas County and Polk County emergency action plans and make our own city action plan so that all of our entities within the city of Granger can operate together in case of an emergency or anything dire happens. And every organization knows what their next steps are and how to act on that plan. Right now, we don't have one, but I know a city unified emergency action plan, correct?
No, that's what we were starting to meet yesterday.
Okay.
I've got a question, maybe I'm just slow, but we had, say comprehensive plan, but then we have a land use plan. Can someone explain to me the difference? Because when we talked about ready mix or asphalt plants and we went through the land use plan, everything was over there and identified. Now the internals of said parcel is just a phase in the development process.
Yeah,
So how does a person who wants to develop in Granger know where to go by? They refer to that land use plan, right?
They could, yeah. That's why we, and just a little bit of background, the past council decided not to update, to spend the money to do the full comprehensive plan. It has demographics, I mean, it has a lot of information that goes into it. We chose to do the land use plan to show our hand based upon the annexation and what we were accomplishing, what the land use would be for those areas. So we thought the first step would be to, how will the city be zoned so that developers can look at that and choose if that's where they want to be. So there's three different things. You'll have the major comprehensive plan, which is from 2013. We chose not to spend the money to fully update that, but to just do the land use plan. But then you also have a marketing plan that targets business that could be within the comprehensive plan or it could be within what Alicia's talking about. Who do you market? Who's the council in the city want to market towards? What type of businesses? Where do we want to focus? Do you want to focus on senior citizen housing? Do you want to focus on single family living? We have executive housing coming. And then what businesses do you want to chase? So you can spend a lot of money for all of it. At the time, we thought the land use plan would get the biggest bang for our buck to show, where people could locate a business. Now it's, how do you get that information out there?
If I look at it, the comprehensive plan is sort of an overarching aspirational plan. So it looks at a variety of things, demographics, housing, population projections, infrastructure, parks and recreation, all kinds of things that are sort of like, what is the city, it's an overarching aspirational plan that's important to you, what's really not so important to you. And then out of that, there's this sort of kernel that is the land use plan. And that's the element that says, okay, this area we envision to be whatever, commercial, residential. It's different than zoning because it's basically a higher level that says, okay, these are areas we need vision for commercial, these are areas for residential, maybe single family, multifamily. It's sort of this building block of what the city looks at. And then zoning digs down another, and so there's elements of the land use plan that are supposed to be developed out of the comprehensive plan. But when you read the plan, there's a lot of things in the plan, like whether your population projections that are going to be much smaller than what the area that you're going to identify for the land use plan. So the land use plan sort of draws out of the comprehensive plan, but it's sort of the footprint of where you see development occur and what type of development is going to occur. Then zoning takes it down to another level that says, okay, we've identified this area as residential. And somebody comes along and says, okay, I want to put single family R1. Well, then if you zone something R1 and you show it in the land use plan as just broad stroke residential, that's consistent with the concept. And if you go back, I mentioned earlier, we used the Supreme Court case in Ohio, what we have next is referred to as Euclidean zoning. It's not the ultimate philosopher, it's Euclid, Ohio. And so they're supposed to be tied together and consistent. So if you have an area, let's say, identified as residential, and I'm going to use a bad example, but it's one that everybody agrees. So somebody wants to come along and put a rendering plan in an area where you've identified as residential. So if you rezone that to allow a rendering plan in the middle of an area that's sort of residential, identified for residential, somebody could probably call you out and say that's not consistent with your plan. If you talk about support, like a retail commercial at a hub, like an intersection, even though it may not show in the land use plan as a commercial corridor and it's supportive of the residential, it's probably okay. So, there's not a 100% tie between the land use plan and the zoning. But the concept is that the zoning should be sufficiently connected to the land use plan. Now, what happens in a lot of cities is that you update the land use plan and you go through various zoning actions. And every so often you need to update the land use plan because things change. Now, if you were to look at like the city of West Des Moines, every time they rezone a piece of property, they also amend the land use plan. They go hand in hand. So they only had one. They call it the land use plan and zoning. So whenever they want to change anything, they change the land use plan. So everything is always consistent with the land use plan, no matter what it is, whether it's consistent with the comp plan or not. But it's really the land use plan that's the one that's the driver of the nexus back to the zoning. So if you take Iowa code, we talk a little bit about, it talks about planning, but what really is tied back to under Euclidean zoning is the land use plan. So that's what the city council the last time updated was the land use plan to try to drive what future development would be. And saying, at this point, we didn't seal it. We had a comprehensive plan that was 2013. At that point, it was, 10 years old, which for a city this size, probably would be considered on the newer side. Most cities, smaller cities in Dallas County, they update the comprehensive plan every 20 years. That's probably about as frequently as they do it. They tend to update the land use plan a little bit more often, and that's what the prior council decided to do. So they're kind of layers. You go, comprehensive plan is kind of aspirational, and that's leveled down on the land use plan. So that's the guidepost, and then the implementation is zoning.
And just so we're clear, we have a comprehensive plan. It's valid, it's not invalid. It was adopted in 2013. It was called Vision Granger 2030. I'm looking at it, it's 144 pages. And it kind of laid out two phases, short term through 2020, longer term 21 through 2030, which is why the land use plan was updated more recently here, because that's the part that's changed. I mean, we're not out of regulation or anything at all. Bondurant, Boone, just on a quick search, are older than ours, and they were also Vision 2030 and soon.
Bond grant was just the.
They're
last
just
thing
working on
we
updating,
heard
yep.
With the University of Iowa, and in that they updated their comprehensive plan.
So, I mean, and their number one recommendation was to develop something with Polk County to connect Jester Park and Brenton Slough and Grimes. That was 14 years ago, that was, you know, kind of what they were looking at. So it's out, the city's done it, it's
So we're
there.
still not there.
The land use plan is the more important thing to keep more updates. That's why the city council 3 or 4 years ago
It's
updated.
18 months old.
Yeah.
It was October 9th of 2024.
Yep, 24.
So, question for comprehensive plan, it only goes through 2030, so that means it expires?
No, that was the vision for it. That's where they did the vision. There's no expiration on it. It's just you need to update it when it no longer matches what you want to see. So the discussion is probably now is the time, reasonable time to discuss doing it, but you should probably know what's in it and
Yeah.
be familiar with it before you decide to update it.
In an updated comprehensive plan, you need to identify, what do you really, are there sufficient changes to really say you want to update the plan? Or are you happy with the plan you have? The date is really not the relevant component. The real issue is, does the comprehensive plan reflect what the current aspiration and vision of the city is? You know, if the council looks at it and says, hey, that's 15 years old and dead on, there probably isn't a great need to update it. Because if somebody says, okay, we got a brand new council, it's 2 years old, and we're going in a different direction, no matter whether it says 2030 or whatever it is, it's probably time to say we need to get it in line. Now, one of the things the comprehensive plan is intended to do is to sort of dampen the yo-yoing, so that we don't blow with the wind every time something changes, so that there's some longer-term vision. So as councils change, rather than the council saying, oh, we're going to throw that out and start over, the idea is that there's some underpinning, or at least gives some thought to that, before we go a different direction.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask a financial question now. How much did it cost to do that comprehensive plan?
Hence how much detail you want to go in.
How much did it cost in 2013? All right,
It was 50, I think.
okay.
Yeah, I mean,
How much did it cost for our land use plan?
What's that?
How much did it cost for our land use plan?
Oh, 20, 25, 26.
Okay, so that's a
Half
hurdle, right, that we can keep updating along with, but the council decided to not update the comprehensive plan and do the land use plan instead. So that's 75,000 altogether. So that's an analysis that council can do, to say we need to really analyze this comprehensive plan and determine is it still relevant, or do we need to update it? If we do and we decide to, that's awesome.
if I can add,
And then faster than multiple other projects at the same time.
if you go back and look at the 2013, you spent a lot of money on it, a lot of which was reasonably useless, because it was over developing in Johnston and all kinds of places. The communities of your size in this area use two approaches. And there's not a right or wrong answer. One is you do a very detailed comprehensive plan, which would be $50,000 to $75,000. The others is there are cities that use a much more focused comprehensive plan. Looking at what's important to the city, more driven by the Planning and Zoning Commission and council than it is by an outside consultant. And, like Dallas Center updated theirs, 3 or 4 years ago, when they spent $4,000 or $5,000 on it, because a lot of the work was done by the local community, and then somebody compiled it and put it together, put the graphics together, but they didn't bring somebody else completely from the outside. One of the things you have to be careful of, just from my experience, and I don't see, is you sometimes when you bring somebody in, they're going to bring a whole bunch of people in to study things. They have a tendency, and I'm not going to pick on U of I because Iowa State's just as bad. And if you end up with like a bunch of grad students doing that, they have a tendency not to pay attention to what people in the community actually understand. They have a tendency to not they look at it as an academic exercise, not as a pragmatic exercise. So, and that was what happened the last time. Well, you didn't have a Iowa State do it. The consultant you had last time was sort of like, I'm up in Nana land overseeing, this is what I would need if I were to fly over Granger and you never really landed to say, what's Granger? And so that's why, you get these, and you have, for example, and sometimes you have a lot of the big thing now is to have charrettes and neighborhood, community input, which is a good way to get input on it, but you just have to kind of decide how you want to approach it, how important, how many changes you need, how much you want to spend on it, where are you trying to go with it. Because if you're not really unhappy with what you've got, maybe you don't want to spend a boatload of money on it, but if it needs to be changed and you think it's time to step back and start over, probably it is time to do that. So it's really, the council really needs, in my opinion, having been involved in communities, city, working for cities of all sizes over the last half century, is really driven by what the city council perceives. Yeah, I've been around for a while. So just really perceive what it is. How important is it? And some of the other elements that other than the comp plan, there are probably needs that you have that are maybe more important than the comprehensive plan. I wouldn't, the list of things that we talk about, I wouldn't view the comprehensive plan as your number one priority. I think there's a bunch of other things that, that may be even more important than that. So, you started with the comp plan, but in the panoply of things, I wouldn't necessarily put that at the top of the list. I think, we're very supportive in that area. Some of the other things we don't have, like connectivity plan. The road plan, for example, we kind of pretty much are driven by what, 141 and 17 really drives what we got. We aren't going to reinvent those two wheels, but how do you connect, the walkability, the trails, those things, we have really, there's elements of it in the comp plan, but that's one where we may be a little bit behind on that one. That would be one I would say maybe more in need than I would say the comp plan. That's just my 2 cents.
So you guys have full discretion to drive exactly what we decide on, what you decide on for the city. I'm just going to explain the process of the partnership a little bit one more time so you understand how it works. As the council, you decide what projects we would do with the University of Iowa. And then you would appoint a project lead for each of those projects. That project lead will then assemble a committee, and that's of residents, business owners, anybody within our city that has an investment in our city can be comprised in that committee. That committee will be working hand in hand with University of Iowa teams to drive that project, what the requirements are, what deliverables that you want, what the funding analysis is, how we can put this into place, a step-by-step plan, when we go after these plans, what would the plan be? You are driving that and making the decisions. Your project lead that you appoint is then going off in that direction and making sure that that is communicated to University of Iowa this whole time. Every time they meet as a committee and do the analysis and the study and start doing planning, we're completely driving as a city what we want those deliverables to be and to look like. So, in case that was a question, you're driving it the whole time. And it's not just going to be all on me. I'll still be doing my job. I am simply just the liaison, the city of Greenwood rep between the University of Iowa and City Council and those project leads, and I'm just ensuring those committees are in place to work with the University of Iowa and go based on your direction and what you want done. That's it. So, in case you're considering that I can't do my job at the same time, absolutely. I am a project manager by trade, so this is pretty easy. Let's talk financial real quick. I've already done the financial planning for you. And I've made financial commitments from the community already. There are more organizations and local businesses have stated their support for this partnership, and they're invested in it. They just have to go to their board and vote on how much they want to put towards it. They have also said they're absolutely willing to be a project lead if needed and serve on the committee to guide that direction through the University of Iowa. Our first payment is $12,500, and that's due next month in June after we sign our contract. I have enough in unexpended funds that I need to use that I can absolutely make that first payment. And I am very much willing to because I'm invested in what this will provide for the city and how we can benefit it from it and grow. Because another concern is how are we going to fund these projects to happen? That's also a plan that's going to be put in place in the University of Iowa. And in order for me to go after those federal grants and those state grants, I have to have all these engineering drawings. I have to have these master plans. And I have to have budgetary estimates from other contractors put in place to provide in that packet and that grant application in order for them to even consider us. Because they won't give us that funding in order to develop these things if we don't have all of this in place. And that's going to cost a lot of money outside to go get all of those things that we can be doing right here to go after it. Granger Partners of the Park has already committed $2,500 towards this partnership. So they are ready to get it for the first payment. Next payment, $12,500 due in August, so the start of the school year. Community funding partners that have already gave their commitment under the Granger Public Safety Auxiliary at $2,500 and the sheriff's committee. We have enough time before that August payment that we can, I'll plan fundraisers if I have to, and we can start funding those donations. And then the final payment is $25,000, and that is after the final deliverables from the University of Iowa due in June of 2027. City of Granger, we still have time to remove our budget for next fiscal year. If any of the departments want to say, hey, here's $1,000, here's $2,000, but I know I really don't need, I can budget for it, we can put it towards this partnership. And other local businesses and organizations that are on board with this and want to be part of it. Next slide. So overall community investment is $50,000, which is what we paid for that initial comprehensive plan. Regardless of whether you choose to do a comprehensive plan or not, the amount of projects and deliverables that we would gain from this partnership alone, let's just take the downtown redevelopment plan. They're going to provide engineering designs for us to completely redo Broadway and Main Street, better parking access, better traffic flow, ADA accessible into our business fronts. How are we going to get around that flow? They will do all that planning. What's the water flow going to be to manage all of the water flow on those roads? They'll do all that planning and designing. Whatever you guide and direct them, they're going to do and they're going to provide that to you. So just the small planning studies based on what we need for Main Street and Broadway, those can run anywhere from $25,000 to $60,000. For many communities that are looking at redeveloping their Main Street, they tend to, communities of our size, they tend to budget $80,000 to $100,000 for those plans, for redevelopment plans, and that's engineering designs and studies. So the amount of deliverables that we are going to receive and then be able to action on to go after different funding and all that is worth more its amount for just the $50,000. Any questions?
As far as the design of the main street, when you say they're gonna do all the engineering, so they're gonna come shoot all the intakes and everything?
Yeah, it's the whole engineering department that comes and does, okay, I'm going to bring in designs that they provided. Can you go into more detail on that for the council?
That would have to be an Emily question.
Yeah, so we actually worked with them and their professors and like the program directors to say, you know, we're going for this FEMA grant for a tornado safe room. We need these FEMA codes for these walls. We need this many exits, emergency exits, all the codes that met, all the, anything that was needed to meet all those requirements. We met with them, talked with them, and they were able to do that and provide them in their deliverables, which we should have here in the next 30 days. So you guys can even see.
I think the most,
I guess that's a clean slate, that one's easy to do. You start going down Main Street and you're shooting finished floor elevations, all the flow lines, all the sanitary intakes, the percentage of fall across the street, and managing all that water. Are you gonna sign off on that, Bob? Whatever plans are provided?
I don't know that they would
That's,
do that
I want to
engineering.
identify what the
I think they're
engineering
gonna look at
really
the-
means is what I'm
I think they're
asking.
gonna look at the facades.
Okay.
They're gonna look at parking. They're gonna look at ADA. I mean, so there'll be a little bit of engineering on ADA. I don't know that they would probably give us elevations. You can't have more than a 6-inch step up in this area. And so would they do the engineering? Maybe, maybe not, probably not. But I think they'll do the facades, how could Main Street be reconfigured? How could the storefronts be revitalized? And then where do we go? Are there state funds, through Iowa Economic Development to do some of that?
I really want to thank you for your time. And if you have any other questions, I'm happy to get more to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alicia.
Yep.
Just for the action. I'd like to just quickly state first before you guys go through that. If you do any research really at all, I feel like the types of grants and things that we're going after, they're looking for some sort of, what's your vision, what's your plan for your town? And if we don't have that, I'd hate to be eliminated right away from opportunities to better the community. The opportunity for the community to step forward and be a part of this, I think is the right time. I think we've got a lot of active members, and I think it would be a good thing for the community to get involved, everybody involved, to start moving us forward into the future. I know it's almost wishy-washy, a little late for my kids, with the new school, probably gonna miss out on the high school, but like, if not, I said it last time, if not now, when? So I'll leave it at that.
I'd also like to throw a question out there just for the council. Alicia included a couple QRF codes here to look at other stuff. Has anybody gone out and looked at what has been done in other communities with these plans? We got a little bit of a look at it with the public safety building, but did anybody go look at Tama or Bondurant or West Branch or any of these other communities to see what we could be getting for this?
I did.
Okay. I think that's really important to take into account when we're talking about spending this money, rather than just, it's $50,000, we don't want to spend $50,000. Well, what are we getting for that? And I think that's vital. So I hope everybody took the time to go out and take a look at what these other communities have done with the University of Iowa, what plans they've had put together.
Anybody else got any other comments, questions?
If I'm gonna be candid about it, if it was just monetary, I would be a no right now. But one other thing popped into my head as we were discussing there. Do I trust future governmental bodies to take care of this stuff on a step-by-step basis over the next 5, 10, 15 years? I'm not even sure I trust this body, honestly. I'm that much of an anti-government guy, but that's okay. No, I don't trust future bodies to take care of this.
It may be a learning exercise too, where you're forced to look deep into some of this. I mean, we ran pretty hard and fast for 5 years. Bob's been here for how many ever, and it's provided a great, you know, a great opportunity for he and I to just take off and make it happen. I think now's a good time to, maybe that slows down, and you do have a comp plan that the community can get behind, and you do have 2,000 more acres since that comp plan was created. Now we have a pretty good idea of what those acres can be used for. We have plans for it, we have utilities mapped, we have roads mapped. However, it may be a good exercise for this body to do, to go through that and say, what is the vision for the community?
I guess my concern is, you know, chasing so many rabbits that, you know, we want to do this and we want to do that, and then pretty soon we have 10 plans and we're out of energy to do any of them. Whereas if we can focus in on one, like the maintenance or the fire EMS building, I think I think that was good. We can, you know, see a picture, we can get behind that versus, and that's just my opinion. Some people might think, well, you have 10 different things and 10 different people in the community can get behind each one of them because they don't really care about X project or Y project. But I don't know, it seems like we're shooting in the dark a little bit, and whereas we can focus what we're doing, might be a better use of our money.
I think the only comment that I have is, while I am pro this, I just wish we would have had these conversations maybe a couple months earlier to kind of deal with some of the obstacles and issues that some people have, so we could have talked through it more and had more time. I think that's the main thing that I have, but like I said, I am so all for it.
Well, I think it
apologize
doesn't.
for that short time, because it was only a month ago that we were hand-selected from the University of Iowa. So
Yeah.
I've been trying to get it information into every single meeting so you have it. So I'm sorry for the short.
No, I don't think you need to apologize.
Yeah, you don't need to
You're just a
apologize.
victim of circumstance, just like we are.
And it was recognized as one of the best proposals they've ever received. Actually, they selected Granger without even taking it to the full committee. I think he just hand-selected us and said they like the app, they like the diversity of what the community has to offer, and selected it, so.
That's another thing for me is there's a lot of excitement and energy based, you know, coming from the University of Iowa for this. You know, I think we're going to get a lot of their attention and focus for this.
So, nothing else. Need a motion.
Motion to approve memorandum of agreement between the University of Iowa and the City of Granger, Iowa for June 1, 2026 through June 1, 2027 for the university to complete 10 or more projects proposed by Granger in accordance with the project guidelines and IISC Community Partnership Guide documentation with payment of $50,000 throughout the term.
Second.
Okay, Paul,
Yes.
Cheechak,
Yes.
Bermal,
No.
Voss,
Yes.
Trash.
No.
Get to work on putting those committees together now.
Vintage Road. Looks like they're got an event coming up. Is anybody here to speak on the event that's coming up for that?
No, it's a book
Book
signing.
signing, right? The author's gonna be here, I believe?
Yeah, and the one register will be here, so we thought it'd probably be appropriate to block that off.
Okay, anybody got a problem closing the road for that event?
I think, talk to the neighbors that live in the apartments.
Not
That
yet.
was my only concern was with them parking up front there.
Aaron thought he might block from the alley
Okay,
down
that'd be
to,
perfect.
Main.
Well,
But
from
we
the
may
alley
need to
the
check with him though.
east, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of what was.
Okay.
They just don't wanna-
Okay, can I get a motion to approve that then, please?
Make a motion to approve closing Broadway Street from Main to Walnut Streets on May 17th from 1:30 to 4:30 PM for a book signing event.
Second.
Okay, Cheetah,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Paul,
Yep.
Schreier.
Yes.
Is this you, Bob?
Bob, you got a page and a half clip note version?
Yep.
Please.
Do I get 3 hours?
Yep.
No,
No.
Wait,
15 minutes.
First is the water tower project. There's water in the tower. So so that's something to work out. But they're not necessarily operational. We're still trying to get some things cleared up. So we have paid estimate number 12, the amount of $58,860 from the Eastern Camera reviewed it. I think it's reasonable. I would guess that we'll probably be closing that project out probably July or August. There's just a few little things that we left to get resolved, but we're getting close.
Is there any DNR certifications that we need to go through, finally pass it, or is it get through this stuff and then it's online?
It's actually online now. So
It's filling, but is it providing water to the water supply?
once it's filled, it's online.
Okay.
So in other words, it's like once you put it in service, it basically instead of the pump maintaining the pressure, because before we didn't have a water tower, so the pump ran continuously to provide the water pressure. Now it fills the tower up and the tower provides the pressure. So
Right.
once you open the valve up, fill up the tower, it's either on or off, so it's not, you can't just have it sitting over there doing nothing.
Okay.
So-
how much more is owed? So if this is reasonable, how much more is owed? So this is just a partial, how much more is owed? Is that-
If you look at it, they've got roughly the balance to finish is about just under $60,000.
So they just cut it in half, okay.
So, I mean, we've got plenty of money left for what's left to do.
Okay, good.
There's probably $4,000 or $5,000 for work left at the most.
Okay, good.
Motion to approve partial payment estimate number 12 for the water tower project in the amount of $58,860 to McGuire Iron Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, Paul,
Yes.
Schreier,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Cheetah.
Yes.
Sycamore Street project, they've got it paved up through the roundabout. What they've been waiting for right now is that the Story had to get the south entrance and the school. So it was 7 days today. So today, they put the barricades up to close the north end. So starting tomorrow, everybody's gonna have to come into the school project from the south and they're gonna be in trimming, starting tomorrow morning, they're gonna trim the run going north. They've got probably they're gonna do one port for the main line, they got a couple hand pours. So my guess is that next week, the main line pour up to the north end will be done. Then they have a couple hand pours, and they'll be working on the trail, they're working on the trail south, and they'll flip up and work on the trail north.
Right.
My guess is that things move along, that the project will be pretty well. The street will be open to traffic, my guess is by the second week of June, first week, second week of June. And the trail should be open and continuous sometime a week or two thereafter. Their goal is to be done, pretty much done and out of the trail and the road by late June. So that's kind of where we are right now. We had to some of the schedule we had to kind of jockey around because we got to maintain access to the school project. And so, like, for example, the last few days it's been really nice and there's nobody there. Well, there's nobody there is because they still had to use the north end. And so
There's plenty of work they could have done Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday this week.
Well,
They haven't been there to grade, the sidewalks and the grading should be done, the seeding should be done. All that should be complete out of everybody that live up there, south of White Oak should be nothing left to do right now. It's ridiculous if they're not out there working on these nice days.
I second. Oh. You're not.
Sorry, Bob.
That's fine.
Go ahead.
You're not recording. So,
You're good. I just get sick of phone calls and complaints from people. It should be done.
So this is just the divided up neck payment
Yeah.
for that, for the work they've done,
Yeah, I
getting
mean, there's
up to the
still some-
roundabout.
yeah, there's still-
Sure, yeah, there's lots to come, yeah.
If you look at what's left to go on the project, there's still,
Oh, yeah, they got a lot of paving yet to do.
yeah, what have they got left to go? There's still $300,000
Right, yeah.
plus left to go.
Yep. Okay.
All right, motion to approve partial payment estimate number 9 for the Sycamore Street Improvements Project in the amount of $320,298.67 to Sternquist Construction Incorporated.
Second.
Okay, Hall,
Yes.
Chichok,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Shryock.
Yes.
On the southeast lift station project, you've been out there, punched the road down through there. They've done some, they've had to pay for some of the equipment, so they've got some just early stuff that's going on the road and that. So we have a payment estimate, number 1 in the amount of $42,384.15. That's, we reviewed it, that's reflective of the work that's left to go. I think they're obviously just very early in it. I would anticipate that they're still trying to figure out exactly how they want to go about building it, because they just got the shop drawings for the control equipment about 10 days ago. So that's really going to be the governing criteria. So they're just, I mean, the delivery on that's probably going to be on toward late this year. I mean, look how long ago we awarded the contract, 3 to 4 months ago, and they just finally got that shop drawing. The shop drawing will get turned around and back next week. I think it's due, I think it'll go back, maybe next week and Friday, probably, go back to them. So they're just trying to figure out, when do they want to start building it? Because there's going to be a dead period in there. If they go in there and build everything, the equipment's not going to show up for a while. So they're just trying to figure out what the best schedule is. We're also then trying to make sure we got everything coordinated with Beaver Creek Estates. So the last I heard, I would anticipate there'll be more activity starting, I'm going to guess sometime next month, from what the last I heard. So we're just kind of in the early stages of that project, so.
Okay, so that was just anticipated money, so,
Yes. So this is a legitimate estimate for the work they've done.
yep.
Motion to approve partial payment estimate number 1 for the Southeast Lift Station project in the amount of $42,384.15 to Hildreth Construction Services LLC.
Second.
Okay, Chichok,
Yes.
Boss,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Hall,
Yes.
Shryock.
Yes.
The other item that's on this is sort of tangentially related to it, but it's really related to kind of the lift station. If you remember last year, we tried to get Polk County to approve letting us take the extraterritorial area for the Myers Hook property on the right-of-way of 102nd, so we could get the trunk sewer that goes to the western part of Beaver Creek Estates and the force main that runs down 102nd, basically goes into 200th over to the wastewater plant. Polk County said they wouldn't approve it unless we took the jurisdiction of 102nd. So coming up at one of the upcoming, I think it's next week or the week following, the Polk County Board of Supervisors has an agreement that they'll approve, and you'll see it in June, I'm fairly certain, to take jurisdiction of 102nd over to the county line. With that, the county said back last fall that they would then, they would have the Board of Supervisors approve letting us add that extraterritorial area, because we can't build anything and use TIP funding unless it's in the urban renewal area. So we built we did the lift station, we did the water main, because those are in our urban renewal area, but we can't bid the force main and the lifts and the trunk sewer because they're partly outside the urban renewal area. The other is that, and it hasn't affected us so far because Beaver Creek Estates keeps changing and they added back in that north-south road, which meant that we moved the lift station site and realigned the sewer site. That's all been resolved now. So what we need to do now that we've had the agreement with Polk County to take jurisdiction we need to go back and amend the urban renewal plan to put in the area that we tried to put in last year. So this next item, it's really a two-part thing. One is that the city engineer and the city attorney will prepare the amendment, and then Allers and Cooney looks at it. Allers and Cooney wants to have a formal engagement letter to look at the work. So my plan is that we can get this hustling along and get it in as quickly as possible before anything that the legislature did kicks in.
And Jared has the
Yeah.
correct wording of the motion.
You were ready?
You're up.
I'm ready. Make a motion to approve the engagement of Ayers and Cooney for proceedings for Amendment 2 for Southeast Urban Renewal Plan and authorize city attorney and engineer to prepare documents.
Second.
Okay, Shyak,
Yes.
Paul,
Yes.
Bermal,
Yes.
Goss,
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Highway 141 Water Main Improvement Project, we anticipate that Garrity, the last we heard, they're going to plan to start sometime in June. As I understand it right now, the plan is they'll get their tunneling subcontractor in to do the long bore under 141, which they think is going to take about 3 weeks. And they think the whole pipe on the north side will only take a couple of weeks. So I would anticipate sometime early, first week of June, they'll probably have a pre-construction conference. They'll probably start in the tunnel sometime early to mid-June. And the way they're talking, that water main will be in by July. So no payment estimate on it. Kind of piggybacking on one of the things that will come up later is that the Beaver Creek Estates, it now appears preferable. We talked before about oversizing the water main that runs all the way through the development. Now that they've added the water main along 102nd to those commercial lots, it appears preferable, in the same amount of money for the city, just build the 12-inch water main, fill in the gap in front of the Myers and Hook property. That's a shorter water main, will just go down 102nd, tie into the one that comes across, and then the water main loop within the development will be 8-inch. That way we can complete the loop, and we don't have to wait for them for 2 or 3 or 4 years to complete that loop, so we'll have it around their development. The DOT is being their typical pistols. The right-of-way of 141 goes to the south side of 102nd, over to almost to the west end of the east part of Beaver Creek Estates. And so we originally had planned to do a long tunnel that went from the north right-of-way line of 141 to the south side of 102nd. So then when Beaver Creek Estates proposed putting the 12-inch water main on the north side, we went back to the DOT and said, would you let us basically tunnel under the road, we'll tunnel under 102nd, but we want to put this water main on the north side of 102nd. And they came back and said, no, we want it out of the right of way. So it doesn't really affect Beaver Creek Estates, it'll just need to be in an easement adjacent to it, going west along those commercial lots, and about the third of the commercial lots is where the DOT right of way ends. And at some point over there near the west edge of Beaver Creek Estates, the east part of Beaver Creek Estates, we'll flip the water main over to the north side. That's all in the city jurisdiction. We don't have to talk to the DOT because we've got the proposed sanitary sewer and the force main in that south ditch. So it'd be better to have the water main in the north ditch, so we can make it work. So the DOT did today finally send the permit. I had a pre-permit, we'll put it that way. Kirk did sign that he sold all his grandkids. He signed that today. So we'll get the permit in the next couple of days, get that out. So I think we resolved that issue. So it looks like the 141 project will be moving along now with the DOT permit. Also along that line, not necessarily on the agenda tonight, but while we're talking 141, the DOT did come back and respond to the study that Snyder submitted on behalf of the city back in January that included the 141-17 interchange reconfiguration. They are not going to approve us having basically a street connecting to the ramp, which we tried to run up the flagpole. to get access to, in the area of the Simmons property. I think it was always a long shot, and they said no. But they are very supportive of the 14117 interchange reconfiguration. So we need to get a meeting set up with the DOT to look back on them to see where it is. They also said they were fine with like the 17 improvements. So we showed a roundabout at Twin Eagles Drive, they were fine with that. We showed another connection farther to the north, up in the Windcrest area, and they were fine with that. That's longer term. So I think we've started to find better what 17 is going to look like. We'll need to work on 141 to the west, but I think things are coming into play. But what I don't want to, I think everybody agrees the 14117 interchange needs to be reconfigured as soon as practical. So what I'm trying to avoid now is getting that project hung up in things that really aren't affected by that project. So we're going to try to get a meeting set up with the DOT for next steps. But because they've now concurred that the one, we'll have to go through exact details of what the interchange looks like, but they have concurred that they are supportive of modifying the 14117 interchange to a full interchange. We got to go through and deal with some of the geometrics and those kind of things. So there's additional work to go, but I think we all knew there was going to be additional work. So that's just an update on that. It's moving along. One would hope they would roll over and see our point of view, but that was probably a long shot. I didn't win the lottery, and I didn't win that one either. So, the next item is the East Voluntary Annexation Phase 2. That is in front of the City Development Board on the 19th, next Tuesday. So that afternoon, we go to the City Development Board. The staff of the City Development Board said they had no issues with it, and so I would anticipate that annexation would be approved by the City Development Board. There's then a 30-day appeal period, and once that appeal period is done, it goes to the Secretary of State. So I don't think anybody's going to likely object to it, but if nobody sues the City Development Board within 30 days, then we're free. So I would anticipate we're in the last legs of that annexation. And the next one, it looks like, is the discussion on the Grand River Development Agreement, which I'm not sure why it's on my court. But I was, nobody else was talking about things I was talking about.
Mainly because you and Ben were most knowledgeable about it.
Yeah, so
I didn't want you to leave first.
What's that?
Didn't want him to leave first.
yeah, I'm going to paraphrase what I understand, and then maybe I think where the issue is, and then Mr. Klein is here and can speak to that. Back when the development agreement was put together, there were certain costs that were identified that were eligible. And those were the street and the water main that ran to Grant, and sewer that ran to Grandwood School. So there was they documented what those costs were. The city threw in, I think, $75,000 for the kind of the connection back to Linden Street, which they wanted to modify and accomplish, and then there was a contingency factor. So there was a dollar value, and that's in the letter that's in your packet. And then we looked at it. What we did is we put together an amortization schedule, assuming that they would get paid back the TIF revenue according to that schedule. And if you ran it and assumed it was it's like borrowing from the bank, and you look at certain amount of payment every year. There was first the interest, and then the principal, the outstanding principal carries forward. So they're accumulating interest on it. So if you ran that amortization schedule, it was originally run in 2018. It showed that, and it was a 3% interest, because that was the going rate in 2018, that the total debt service to pay that loan off would be just about $1,830,000 in change. And so they rounded it up to $1,831,000. And it showed that in that amortization schedule, that in year 16 of the debt service schedule, they would pay off the loan. And so we extended it to 18 years because the 18 years, we knew there could be some discrepancies. In other words, it's like the valuations may not be the same, the tax levy rate may not be the same. So we do it an extra 2 years to get them to the 1.81 million. So it's 18 years, 1.831 million, whichever gets there first. And so and then so it had the 100%, 90%, 80%. And so if you look at what the city assumptions were back at that point in time, we had to look at what the total tax rate was, and not all of that is eligible for TIF, as a portion of it is referred to as protected levies. So at that point, we were roughly around $30 a thousand as what was available for the levy. And then what's occurred is that the communities have actually decreased the protected levy. So what's happened is the levy has stayed is reduced a little bit, but more and more of it's been put over on debt service. So as schools borrow money and everybody borrows money, more of that levy is not available to us because it's in that protected debt service levy. So that debt service levy is now down to just over $27, down from $30. We assumed that there would be $4.5 million, it's $4.9 million. So the valuation is 10% higher. The tax levy rate is about 10% less. So what occurred in like years 1, 2, and 3, because of the tax levy, we had projected back in 2018, the city that the 100% tax levy, if they got all their money back, would be right around $136,000 a year. So there was a couple of years in the first year where they were getting 122-ish, thereabouts. I think right now, the projection that the city had was 136, and I think they're getting 135 and change. So we're within $1,000. So those two factors that the city had, the tax rate is now lower, but the valuation is higher, effectively offset. And right now, the payout schedule is roughly $135,000 and change, which is what was projected as $136,000 back in 2018. That's the reason we extended the period from 16 years to 20 years, so that if there was a discrepancy. Now, what's occurred, and Mr. Klein can correct me if I'm wrong, is a couple of things. One is that the development group may have made some incorrect assumptions regarding what tax revenue would be available. I think they didn't fully take into account the impact of the protected levies. The other thing that's happened, obviously, over between 2018 and today is the interest rate has gone up. Now, the city doesn't have any control over the assessed value. We have no control over the tax levy, but we have no control over the interest rate. All we control is can we give 100%, 90%, or 80%. Right now, we're at 80% of the available tax levy. That's in the agreement. That's the only thing that the city really controls. We can go out to 20 years. We're at 18 years. If you look at the amortization where we are right now today, they will get to the $1.831 million before they get to year 20. They'll probably get there in year 16 or 17. It may just be the same year, because originally we thought the 16th year was going to only be a partial payout. It looks like it'll be closer to a full payout. But right now it looks like if you didn't make any change, they would get their $1.831 million in year 16 and maybe a dribble in year 17. So they're asking for you to look at giving you relief. There's only two things you can do under the agreement. Is we don't control the valuation, we don't control the tax rate, we don't control the interest rates or anything like that. If you were to consider, and I have no position on this, I'm just the explainer of the whole thing. The two things that you can do is that you can adjust the schedule that says, right now we went 190/80. So the balance of the time in the payment schedule is 80% of the available tax revenue. So it's like 110 versus the theoretically available 135-ish. So you could increase that. That's within your control. The other is you could decide to extend the period from 18 years, can't exceed 20 years. But I would tell you right now that if you want to do anything, you can extend it. If you go from 80 to 100, you're still going to reach the cap of 1.831 million. So what it's going to do is it simply gives them the payment. It gives them more money up front, not total. So it helps them with their debt service payments, which are bigger because interest rates are higher. but they still are only gonna get 1.831 million. Unless you do the cap, extending the period isn't gonna do any good. I mean, because they're gonna get there before 18 years, they'll get there in year 16-ish or 17-ish, so. If you want it, there's really two things you can do. You can increase the payment rate, or you can increase the cap, or some combination. But extending the period without increasing the cap doesn't do any good, because you'll never get there. So that's my explanation. I have no opinion on this. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Mr. Klein, you have anything you'd like to say?
I've got a little bit of a voice problem, so I'll make this quick. I'm here to represent the family and the shareholders who are Michelle Klein Trust and her children, Katie Jack and Chuck and Tracy Palmer, and their children, Sam Palmer and Cole Palmer. They're all shareholders in this. The spirit was to do something long-term for the family as opposed to open it. But the kicker was when we went to Woodward and saw the facility, we came back and said, we got to do this. So we look for you to show to lead us in spirit and intent has always been good. We have to write a check every year to the bank, and we're barely covering, as you can imagine, there's fixed incomes involved and the owners. So this could be a burden. Nonetheless, we're not asking for you to pay anymore. We just want to be able to cover our bills and get what we thought was going to happen at the end of the project. Having said that, after being around Greenwood, we would do it again, no matter what. Thank you for your time.
Do we know what that shortfall is, so the council has that number? What are we short every year? Because we know that there wouldn't be any proposal to go longer because you're going to get it. So in order to make up the difference between what your payment is and what you're actually receiving, do we know what that shortfall is?
I can answer that. No, I do not. I met with the bank today, and they did not have the number for me. He threw a grenade, and if you want me to throw that number out, I will. He thought it's going to be short about $200,000. But I want you to be hearing that from them directly. They don't.
$200,000 when?
At the end of the project. I don't believe that to be accurate. I don't believe that to be, I think that's high. But I want him to give us the exact number. Keep in mind, the bank only cares about getting their current interest rate. They're not very community minded. So this is just a deal for them.
So again, the question isn't to increase the amount that they were agreed to receive. That's fixed, and that's not to exceed $1,831,000. The question is, their annual debt service isn't meeting, that they're getting out of the TIF isn't making payments. Would the council ever consider increasing the percentage paid to them to bridge that gap so that the TIF would actually cover the payment? Once it reaches the 1.8, payments stop. So there isn't a request for more money. It's just that the TIF isn't making the payment that's due each year because there was an error in the amount that was projected that would be going back because school and city debt service is different, the levy is different, and the interest rate is different.
And not a city error.
No, none of those are city-based.
So Bob, if I understood you correctly, if nothing changes, they will recoup end of year 16, beginning of year 17 still.
That is correct.
If we increase to 90%, what does that drop it down to? From 16 down to 14, or?
So last year it was at 90%. It was the 1 year that's at 90%. It was 122,000 or 122,000 was what we gave them back and change.
I think right now we're in year 5.
Yep. This year, what's on your agenda right now to approve for their payment in June is the first year that's at 80%, which it stays at going forward. And that works out to this year, this past year, 110,000 and change. So it was $12,000. Going from 90 to 80 was $12,000 less. However, that's assuming that the assessed value doesn't change and the
To answer your question.
TIF doesn't change.
If you went from 80 to 90, they would get about $12,000 a year more.
Right.
and there's about 11 years left on the current schedule before they hit the cap. So if you take that, it'd be about 130,000.
Be a
So you're
year.
A little over 1 year earlier.
right.
So
Yeah.
instead of kicking out in partial in year 17 or year 16, they would probably be they would be a partial in the early part of year 15. So it gives them a little more than a year. It would pay off a little bit more than a year earlier. And if you went to 100%, it'd be a little more than 2 years earlier.
Right.
So that's really, if you want to, now that doesn't give them any more money, but it helps with their debt service payments. But that's, if you don't change anything else other than that, the 80 to 90 would be about a 1 year quicker. You'd give them about $12,000 a year more. If you went from 80 to 100, it'd be 2 years earlier, and they go from 110 to 135. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Which is
But we would-
24,000 less than your general budget every year.
Yeah, so we'd be losing that money for the city for those
Yeah, right now,
10 years.
you're collecting whatever doesn't go back to them, that 20% goes into the city's, a part of that goes into the general
Right.
fund. Because you're only getting a part of the tax levy, so you don't get the entire 24, you're getting maybe 8 or 9 out of that. And let's say if you do $12,000 more, it would affect you maybe $4,000, something like that. Because that, we take everything, whereas if whatever we don't take is split between the school, the city, the county, and all the other taxing entities that are not protected.
And because the change changes, if you do a change of the percentage, it changes the exposure of the city. Bond council requires a public hearing. So whatever you decide today is just a direction to lead to a public hearing next
Right.
month.
Right, and understanding whatever we decide to do today or now really only comes into effect when we certify the debt in November.
For next year.
So whatever decision, anytime you make it, if you want to make a decision, you have until the November council meeting, probably the October council meeting, to get it done. And nothing good or bad is going to happen in the meantime because we can't change anything because we've already certified the levy for FY '27. And so we'd be looking at FY '28, which we have to certify to the county by November 30th of 2026 for the FY '28 budget, which starts on June 30 or July 1 of 2027.
So the payment wouldn't take effect until, if we went to 90%, I'm just saying, and we certify it in November, that payment wouldn't be till 28, so I'm trying
It
to.
would
That'd
not
be the-
affect the budget you certified for the upcoming.
That's
fiscal
not,
year.
that's not, I'm
Yeah,
trying to
so
figure.
this would be
Right.
something-
It'd be the June 1, 28 payment.
Correct.
This would be your FY '28 budget, which should be about a year from now,
Correct.
which should be where the impact would be if you choose to do something.
So part of these funds is part of the north road going up and then the west road going to Grandwood, right?
Yeah, it went north and west, that was all.
So not just the west road to get to Grandwood, it would be
It was part of
north.
the, it was part of the north-south and most of the east-west. I had to go back and dig it out.
So you've got 75% of the real estate along those roads that weren't related to Grandwood,
Yeah, I was.
roughly?
I wasn't involved in the decision what to fund, I just.
Right, no, I'm just trying to understand what,
Yeah, it was the north-south and heading west, where anything that didn't go from 141 to Grandwood School was not included, other than the connection to Linden, because the council wanted to have that improved. So that, they gave them that 75,000 for that connection. Other than that, it was a documented cost on the north-south and the road west too. So anything that didn't go on the direct path to Grandwood, which there were more improvements as a part of that plat, and they were estimated, so they had to document what those costs were. I'd have to go back and get from the city files or being data records, because I don't have them. But that's what.
so they were proportionally separated, the improvements.
Yeah, they had to,
Yeah.
they had to document, because if I remember right, Jared, it came like 2 columns that said, here's what these are, here's what these are. So they had to give us the total cost of the improvement, eligible and non-eligible, and then things that were like shared costs that were difficult to proportion. So if the eligible is sort of like erosion control and stuff like that was difficult to break up, we looked at what was eligible in relationship to the total cost, and gave them that same proportion. There were a couple of items like that. Most of them, we made them discreetly. If I remember right, they had there were 3 columns in the spreadsheet, if I remember right. There were shared costs, and then they had ineligible costs, things we weren't going to pay for no matter what. You're testing my memory. It's 8 years ago.
So regardless, we need an action to approve the annual
I
payment.
think the real,
Yeah, I has nothing to, really to do with this conversation. I is just what the number was for this year. Other than that the tax payment was late, and so the city doesn't have the tax funds yet to make that payment until we get it
Gotcha.
from the county.
Okay.
So that's what the little addendum at the end.
Okay.
They should be coming in the next week.
Yeah, it's around
Okay.
15th, I
Yeah.
get paid.
Okay.
But they're not in the coffers of the city right now.
if you want to see the numbers that Mr. Klein will provide on the debt service, you can do that. We can talk about it again next month. We're really aiming toward, whatever, if you say no, we're not interested, we're done. If you say you'd like to go forward, our only end date is November 3rd. Again, it's the council's prerogative. I guess the question for tonight is, do you want more information or do you want to make a decision? Is that framing it in the starkest of terms?
Do you need to see the difference in the spread?
I mean, yeah, I'd like to see more information before we make a final decision on what we'd like to do going forward, or start the process, I guess.
Yeah, me as well.
Yeah, your marching orders.
Meet with the banker in those days.
Yeah, tell him to get on the stick and provide some information, okay?
I can't, he's not physically motivated.
I know, he has a tendency not to follow through on stuff.
Yes, no argument there.
So you now have my lecture. You can go lecture the banker.
I will get some information for you folks.
Okay.
Thank you for your.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay. Next, development agreement.
Actually, we need to do it.
Do we need to approve?
Yeah, we're gonna vote on it.
I'll make a motion to approve the 5th annual grant payment to Granger Land Company for $110,329.71 to be paid upon receipt of tax revenue from county.
Second.
Schreier.
Yes.
Hall.
Yep.
Bordeaux.
Yes.
Bob.
Yes.
Peacock.
Yes.
So in front of you is a handout that talks about this project. So Bob and I have been meeting with Reader. What spurred this on is due to the public outcry of the safety of coming out of Twin Eagles, we were looking at a method of how do we, I don't know if quickly is the word, but how do we sooner rather than later get connectivity coming out of Twin Eagles to the north? And so what this document is that Bob will kind of go over, we've been meeting with Reader, and I'll kind of paraphrase it and then let Bob clean it up. But basically, he would put in the road and the infrastructure. He would build the apartment building. He would pay for the majority of everything. And then the taxes coming off of what he builds will go to pay back for that road, to get the connectivity coming out of Twin Eagles so that they can head to the roundabout rather than out on Highway 17.
And a couple of things on that. One is, if you look at the financial basis, they gave us cost estimates from contractors that said it was $712,000. We're proposing an amortization over 12 years. That's what we've got left, comfortably left in the urban renewal area. We actually have a year or two beyond that because we're in here. But we're in the existing southeast urban renewal area, so the clock is running on that. So we can't go, we could go maybe 14 years, we can't go much beyond that. I like to be a little bit conservative on that. So interest rate 6.5%, that seems to be what everybody, Mr. Former Banker said that's a reasonable interest rate. I'm not the former banker, I don't believe in borrowing money, so I pay no attention to that. So amortization, 87,000 and change. And if you look at over the period of time, the total amortization schedule, if you ran it as a traditional pay interest, remainder goes to principal kicks forward to calculate what the payment, what interests are in the subsequent years. It'd be 1.14 million, same exercise we just talked about for grand amortization, same. So the issue here is that they estimate that the value of the apartment building, and they gave us examples in other cities, so we went through and prorated and looked at it, and the best we can come out is it's about 2.075 million taxable valuation. Now, what's going to happen when the legislation dealing multifamily kicks in? It may be higher. I mean, because right now this is based on the current, and the legislature kicked up the formula for the taxable valuation for multifamily. So in that sense, although not much that the legislature did benefited us, this might be one where we get a small kernel of benefit out of it. But if you look at it at the capture rate of just $27, it doesn't, they don't cash flow. In other words, it doesn't, their payment doesn't, that the taxes on that $2 million, which is about $56,000 a year, doesn't cover the amortization schedule. So Kirk and I talked about it, we think there's a public benefit to getting that connected. There's also a public benefit for us not having to borrow the money, so we don't tie up as much of our debt service. So what the proposal right now is that in the first 2 years, we would cover $46,300, which is essentially the interest payment on the loan. So no principal, just 2 years of interest to get that going. That would come out of the available funds that are in the southeast urban renewal area, and based on a taxable valuation, and this ties back to the Beaver Creek Estates, because now we're only down to about $3.1 or $3.2 million of city debt. So we have, and with the water main project, we'll stay about that same level, but our subsidy back to Beaver Creek Estates goes down. So we have that $46,300 available in that urban renewal area. So we're not, if we can use it for this, or we'll go back to the general tax allocation. For years 29 through 30 through 40, 41, the end of the payment, what the proposal is that it would be the delta, or the difference between the estimated tax value of $56,025 and the annual amortization of $87,269. But we also said that any additional value that's added in that urban renewal area, we get to keep. So that, so let's say another building goes up. They can't capture that. So basically, if we get any additional value in that area, we can use that effectively to reduce the subsidy. So are we subsidizing it if nothing else happens? Yes. Could we build the road ourselves for that? No. So in other words, if you look at it, we couldn't build the road for the subsidy. So the thought is, if we can find a way to get that road built, and we don't have to borrow the money, and it costs us less than if we build it, it seems like it was a reasonable way, and we can do it within the urban renewal area, because we included the rented property in the urban renewal area when we established that 3 years ago. So that's the concept. I don't think we've run it by reader yet.
Yeah, I did.
Oh, you did, okay. I don't know much of anything. So, anyway, is reader okay with it? Okay, so I guess it's kind of, what is it, actually?
So it was and correct me if I'm wrong, it was my understanding we were going to have a road going kind of where the existing road is up to Twin Eagles. Now it's put in as a cul-de-sac, that road. And now you're talking about another road that they're building apartments.
Yeah, what their plan was, I don't think we ever had a road that, the road always had to kind of curl around to get over to Crab.
Right.
So the only thing they did is they added the cul-de-sac on the end of it, because we wouldn't go down to the end and then go up along the property line to Crab Apple. We got a stormwater basin. So the plan is the same one that Readers had we're not paying anything on the north south road. So all we're doing is about partway up from 110th, about 2/3 of the way down that cul-de-sac, the road would go east and then go south.
So are they hooking this road up into the cul-de-sac?
No, it's north of the cul-de-sac.
Okay.
No, yeah, but, I mean, it's this direction of the cul-de-sac. It is the plat that the council did approve. It's according to the plat you approved. So the cul-de-sac goes down. North of the cul-de-sac, we require the road to go all the way to the next property line. So that road heading east-west goes up to Chad Pennington's property line. And then another road in front of the lot where that apartment building will be built connects to Crabapple.
So here's 110th, here's the existing road.
Yeah.
So this cul-de-sac, would stay- this would go over and then south and tie into Crabapple. So it's this piece.
Well, it can't go straight, isn't it, in that house?
No, it goes around. Yeah, it's right on the end of Crabapple.
Yeah, so it can't go straight because there's a house right there, so it's gotta. Turns here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm not sure I understand what you're saying, because it's just, we're just building two 90-degree roads. Is it? Not where, he is.
yeah. Yeah, that's not what it's gonna be.
No, that is what it's.
That is what it's gonna be.
Oh, you told me it was going up here.
No, it's down toward the
Oh,
cul-de-sac.
okay.
It's down here. They built the cul-de-sac. They added the cul-de-sac. The original thought was it just came over and down and they just added the cul-de-sac, but that was approved.
So my question is, why are we building roads?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, and I understand if it's, you know, if it's to incentivize the.
Initially, we
building of-
weren't going to, and you don't have to.
Right.
Little slower development that was happening. We are getting pressure of having a second way out of Twin Eagles, or, you know, we do some type of improvement on 17, which we don't have the money to do that. I think at some point, is there a roundabout there? Maybe. But in this case, he pays for it, he puts it in, and he gets paid back based upon him building a structure and creating taxes that will then pay for that road and infrastructure.
I mean, we could wait and see it when, even when it gets built.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other option, is we don't do anything. I don't know that he would build his apartment building. You know, if he does, he builds it. He doesn't, we'll wait till something happens. So it's a matter, I think, of how important is it to get it now versus wait and see what happens in the future. That's really kind of where we're at. So it's the council's prerogative. We were trying to find something that, to get the connection done in the near term without the city building.
Yeah. Doesn't have to be done. It's a method to get that road connected.
Yeah, no, I see that now.
And they take the risk.
And what we're trying to do is to put, given the fact that the city has a lot of needs for borrowing money, there's general obligation, we're trying to say, can we give a little extra to the developers so we don't have to.
Right, we don't have to borrow money.
It increases our debt capacity, and then does it incentivize once that traffic pattern's going through there for the next thing to come?
Yeah.
If we're successful in bringing in more retail and putting in a C-store there, then I would consider that a success.
And we don't have to capture that value.
Yeah.
So do we not pay back anything until something's built there and we're getting revenue back?
His building, there's
He
a,
has to build the building.
yeah.
Yeah, before we'll start paying back.
He has to build the building. Well, he has to commit to build the building. Before, I mean, we're talking.
We're paying him with his own money.
Right.
He's got to pay.
He's
He's
paying
building
back.
bills to
But
pay
we
back.
wouldn't start paying before he starts building,
Correct.
before it starts generating revenue, right?
He has to
why
put
it's
it all, he
not
has
a
to put
risk.
it all in and pay for it, and he knows that. He has to pay to construct it and put it all in. He knows he's not gonna get money until he builds that apartment.
I'm good with it, as long as there's language that
Yeah.
eliminates what our previous topic was.
Yeah.
What we're trying to do here is to say, is the council okay with the framework, and we'll have to put it, put all the requirements in, basically. You gotta-
And the safety nets for the city, yeah.
And the same discussion as before, we have a couple months to.
Right, okay.
We need to see the building, we need to see the road, and you'll get your reimbursement.
And if it doesn't make the revenue that it should, if it's lower than what we projected it to be, to pay him back.
The risk actually, our subsidy, our payments are the 31,000 after year 3. If there's a shortfall, let's say the building only assesses at $1 million, that's his risk, not ours. So we cap our risk. Our contribution is that 46.3 for 2 years and then 31,275. That's our risk. If he builds it, that's our payment. If he's a shortfall, let's say the thing instead of generating $56,000 only generates $30,000 because, you know, on county assessment at a lower rate or whatever, the legislature does something to lower the taxes, that's all on him. So.
Is our estimate of the road high? Seems like it's a lot.
He has actual numbers.
Well, the other thing he has to do is document what the actual cost
Okay.
is. So
Yeah.
this is he gave us an estimate. It will be just like what we talked about for the Grandwood, where they had to come in and show us
Right,
what
okay.
the contracting costs were. And because there's certain things we're not paying for, it'll be the same thing where he has to show what's eligible and what's not eligible. So we're not paying for like lot grading and
Right.
stuff like that.
And if he sells the property, do we just get a free road? Like, say it doesn't work out for him and he wants to sell the property.
Oh, he can
after-
he can sell it, the taxes still come to us.
Right, but we don't have to pay him back for a road that he doesn't own. Like, if he decides to sell the property after.
The road is ours.
Yeah.
But doesn't matter who owns it, we're gonna get paid.
Right.
The answer is, under the TIF agreement will provide that if he sells it, there'll still be payments made either to him or the purchaser.
Right.
So, I mean, selling it isn't going to abate what he gets, it may just
Right.
change the entity that gets it.
Gotcha.
Which also happened with the last one. This is a similar structure.
How much exceed your time?
So probably no action there on the public hearing, we'll get some more information, we're not quite ready for that last.
Okay.
Do we set a public hearing on that?
I don't think it'll be ready by next month,
Okay.
do you think?
I mean, I think we can tell them the council's on board and that we're starting the process.
Yeah, I think we'll set the hearing next month for July, so that'd be what I would expect.
But I think what we will do is we will convey back to the leader that the council has discussed it, and it looks like we're heading in that direction. We obviously can't bind the council, but it looks like there seems to be some support. Okay, moving on. P and Z, Beaver Creek PUD. Planning and zoning reviewed another amendment to the PUD. If you remember that we approved one just recently, and they changed the PUD to add those 4 commercial lots on this north-south side of 102nd, and the 4 residential lots on what I refer to as the north side of Street G, street that heads west. So what we had to do is that we originally, right now we have 5 areas in the PUD. So we had to create a 6 and a 7. So 6 is the 4 lots on the north side of Street G. They're half-acre lots. The requirements are exactly the same as Area 1, Parcel 1, which is the north-south street over on the west. So we just simply took those same regulations that the council approved for the half-acre lots over there and put them over here. So nothing new. For Parcel 7 is the 4 commercial lots that are on the south side of 102nd. Those are 0.48 acres to just over a half an acre. So we have a minimum area of 0.48 acres. They're commercial uses, but we also specifically allow personal use in that area. Because one of the things that happens is people who have more money and toys and common sense like to rent these things for their batting cage or their, you know, their big oversized man cave or whatever it is. My wife mentioned it, that's critical. But, so we specifically allow that. And the other thing we did is we require that, you know, the setback is 40 feet on the front and 25 feet on the back. And we wanted more on the front, so they put all the parking and everything in the back. And on the back of the buildings, they have to be finished to our architectural standards for the front. So normally we don't require the back of the building to be pretty. In this case, we do. The other thing is we don't allow any driveways, any storage, or anything in the back of the building. So it's basically going to be yard behind the building. So the thought is that these back up to residential lots. We didn't really want to have driveways and dumpsters and park stuff in the back. So basically, we don't allow anything behind the building. So that way, we're setting the buildings back a little farther, the bigger front yard and the smaller backyard, so we keep all the stuff in the front. The other point that was made by P&Z is that this actually, these buildings lined up there will actually provide a noise barrier to the houses in there, because they're going to be, they'll string along there. If those buildings get built, they'll kind of be a noise deflector to push it up over the houses. So that's really what we're doing, is we're amending it to create those two areas that are consistent with what they showed us. 4 smaller residential lots and then adding those 4 commercial lots. And we added some requirements to try to make those 2 uses as compatible by prohibiting a lot of things in the backyard that we would normally allow.
Everybody good with all that?
Yep.
Make a motion on ordinance number 442, amending ordinance number 440 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Granger with respect to amending zoning district and code section 167.18 Beaver Creek Estates Planned Unit Development within the city limits of Granger, Iowa. First reading.
Second.
Okay, Schreier.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Cheechak.
Yes.
Good on the next?
I'm fine.
Just want to wait the second reading.
Well, wait, I
Otherwise, we
guess
can
questions
vote.
we want to wait
Oh.
second, third reading.
Yeah, can I get a motion to waive the second reading on, do I need to go through and read all that again?
Second and third.
Second and third.
Second.
You should just say ordinance 442.
Can I get a motion to waive the second and third reading on 7-2?
Second.
Okay, Schreier.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Cheechak.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
Okay, the next thing we have is the preliminary plat. The preliminary plat is simply updated to reflect what we just talked about, the 4 smaller commercial lots and the residential lots. So the planning and zoning reviewed the preliminary plat. There's a couple of little minor things they got to change. We're still trying to figure out the water main along 102nd, now that the DOT approved it, but that's really a minor thing. It's just more utilities show on it. But, you know, we're going to have the 12-inch water main there, so I would suggest if the council is in agreement that this would be approved subject to city engineer concurrence or something, so we don't need to come back again. Because what's left are just some final minor coordination issues that have anything to do with the substance of the plat. And part of the reason is we've been waiting since the 25th of March for the DOT to reply to the utility accommodation and they put the seal on it.
Everyone good?
Yep. Yep.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-18, approving the revised preliminary plat of Beaver Creek Estates, subject to city engineer. Was a review order?
Second.
Okay, Schreier.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Cheechak.
Yes.
Paul.
Yes.
The next thing we have is the construction plans for plat 1. this would be the north-south street that goes down to just north of the creek, down by the lift station. The street that goes west that we just talked about, the residential lots, four on the south, one on the north. And then the little private driveway that goes back to the east toward the Etching property on the south side of the church property. So it's what we've seen before. All they've done is they've adjusted those. They do have a few things they need to clean up on, again, 102nd. Other than that, I think everything was fine. So going down to these little last coordination issues, they're gonna oversize the sanitary sewer in that, what they call street out, the north-south street, so that we can extend it north, which would facilitate us extending it north across the highway at some future date. So we don't have to build a parallel sewer, so paying $20 a foot versus $200 a foot seemed to be a reasonable compromise. The water main that we talked about going 12-inch through the development is back down to 8 because we're gonna put it up along 102nd. So again, I think the same thing, approving it, subject to city engineer's concurrence. We'll get the thing worked out in the next few days and they can get going on it. No, I don't think to see the need to bring it back again to council for the last little coordination issues unless the council wants to see it again.
Everyone good?
Yep.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026 approving construction drawings for Beaver Creek Estates subject to city engineering concurrence.
Second.
Okay, Shaw?
Yes.
Haas? Sorry, was it Cheechak?
Yeah.
Sorry, Cheechak?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Paul?
Yes.
We're getting to the end.
Yeah.
The next thing we have is the Granger Motors site plans. Granger Motors submitted a site plan. They're going to make some modifications. That little east floor building is going to get demolished. And in that longer central building, they're going to add 2 additions. One on the north side, that's just parallels on the north side, that's the one farther east on the east side of the building. And then another addition at the southeast corner of the building will actually jut out a little bit to the southeast of the existing building. They're taking out a portion of the parking lot in the area where they're going to do work, so the web area to the west of the parking lot, where they're not working stays the same. The area to the east of that existing east building would stay the same. So they're just basically taking out and putting back the parking lot where it was, just to configure around the building. Their lighting stays, basically the poles are going to get taken down and put back in the same place. Utilities, they will have water and sewer. They're going to run it. The city has water and sewer. It's sort of on the Highway 141 side of Granger Motors, so they're going to tie in there, run a line, water and sewer line over to the southeast, what I call the southeast building expansion, and then they'll go around the east end of that building to pick up the water and sewer in that north addition. So, which is fine. It's all private service. So they stormwater drainage, it's all impervious, everything, they're not adding anything to it. All they're doing is converting a little bit of parking lot to building. It's 100% impervious. That was done prior to the time the city enacted stormwater management. And even today under state law, we probably couldn't require anything because we have to deal with it as it existed at the time of the project. So the water just sheets off and runs off to the east of the creek. We did ask them to clarify that all of the water on the site stays on site, because there's water that kind of runs to the north edge of their parking lot and then east. It's my understanding from the clarification that is satisfactory. So at this point, we would recommend plan and zoning review and recommend approval if it's for the council. We didn't see any issues with it. It's a pretty clean project. To add on to that new building and get rid of the new building.
Is this one going to be subject to any action by you?
No, this one's good.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-20, approval for the site plan of Granger Motors.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Schreier?
Yes.
I'm not even showing my bias because I had to unload some of my money down at the other day to buy a truck.
Gentlemen, thank you for sitting through that. Thank you.
Okay, the last, we're getting down to the end. If you remember the Stenson property, as part of our annexation, we wanted to do larger lots. So the area is the water tower. We don't really have anything that accommodates bigger lots. We did in Beaver Creek Estates do 1.5 acre and 1 acre lots, but we did it in a PUD because it's kind of a mixed residential commercial. I think one of the things we're missing in our zoning ordinance is having provisions for estate lots, 1/2 acre, 1 acre, 2 acre lots. So what we're proposing is consideration of adding new zoning districts that would, would look at 1/2 acre, 1 acre, and 2 acre lots. Now, we aren't zoning any property for that. We're just putting that in our toolbox, so if somebody comes in, like the Stensons, a lot of those are like 1 to 3 acre lots, that we can zone it and not have to do a PUD. So we can use our regular zoning. I prefer whenever I can to use the regular zoning and not a PUD. We really, right now, we can use Stenson without a PUD because we just don't really have, but we don't have that set of residential zoning districts. If you look around the city, our future expansion area, particularly off to the east, my guess we're going to see a mix of traditional residential, smaller lots, and some bigger lots. So this is kind of setting up, saying, okay, we're open to having these kind of lots similar to Beaver Creek Estates. Because the other side of that is, if you look at it, somebody's going to buy a 2 acre lot, they're not going to put a $30,000 house on it. And they're a low service demander. Actually, there's an inverse relationship between service demand and value. So we're not discouraging, if somebody wants to do a $2 or $3 million house, that's fine with us. We're not going to stand in the way of it. So this is just trying to set the stage so that somebody comes in and says, we'd like to develop a large lot subdivision. We have a set of zoning districts that we can use. This is the kind of thing, for example, that you might get reflected in a land use plan amendment, where it's like we would view this as a state type development, or it might be something that you might touch in a comp plan. But we're just trying to set the stage, give us the tools, if something comes along, that we can have that tool in our toolkit.
Any questions on that?
Make a motion.
Just real quick, Jerry.
Oops, sorry.
So on the motion, that's for that June 3rd is the P and Z public hearing, and then if you want to add on June 10th, council public hearing. Just set them both.
7 p.m. again?
Yeah.
Yeah, June 10th is the day.
Yeah.
So instead of the 3rd, it's a 10th.
Say that again?
June 3rd was the P and Z set.
Right.
That date, so it just needs to be June 10th
Yeah.
instead of June 3rd.
Make a motion setting the public hearing to create new residential estate zoning district for June 10th at 7 p.m.?
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, Shawna?
Yes.
Ross?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
You want to take the last one?
Yeah. So we're looking at the downtown district. It probably makes sense. I don't think that there's been discussion on the council, what will the downtown district look like in the future? Probably need to overlay zoning that you would like to see in that downtown. So if you take Walnut Street from State Street to Court Street, what would you overlay on that? It would probably make sense to overlay retail. If you do that, what that means is it allows the landscaping company to continue to utilize their space up across from the school, but if at any point he sells and it ceases to be that, you can't have a commercial activity there. Same with the trucking company. If they choose to sell in the future, that would, if you overlay retail zoning over that district, then you're setting the stage that we expect in the future growth that the city will have retail in those locations rather than commercial.
Just one thing, we need to be real careful trying with this sale. It's really to use. oftentimes, so in other words, if the trucking company sells to another trucking
Right.
company, they probably can continue.
Correct.
If they sell and then somebody else comes in and wants to put in a, whatever, pickup or some other kind of commercial use, they can't. So it's referred to as a legal non-conforming use, so as long as there's a continuation of that legal non-conforming use, not tied to ownership, but tied to use, and it doesn't, either they change the use or the use isn't there. So for example, let's say they go out of business or move and nobody uses it for 6 months, they lose it. And even if another trucking company came back in, they wouldn't have it. So it's lost by, and the other one is if it's damaged, generally by more than 50%, they can't rebuild it. So as long as there's a continuation of the same use without a gap in the use, then they can continue, but they can't change it. So it's reason, it's the tool we have to impose new zoning regulations on things that don't comport with the existing zoning regulations. This is the tool we have in our toolkit.
And you have the map in your documents that shows that area. Probably makes sense, the old gas station on the corner, the storage unit, and the racing facility. And then west of that, you could go all the way over to Walnut. You know, you still, you know, it doesn't impact the homes that are there, but it does set the stage that in 20 years, you very likely, as the community grows, you very likely could have someone come in and say, hey, I'm gonna buy that block, and I'm gonna pay $500,000 for 2 homes, and I'm gonna level it, and I'm gonna put a downtown business. I think you just need to look at it and say, okay, where do we envision the downtown being? Maybe you don't go to Walnut, maybe you just do half the block, but the parking lot across from the school is from Walnut to Main Street. So you have the parking lot, the alley, then the business. So that front part should all be retail. The question is, when you get down to the homes, you could overlay retail on that if you chose to, but we just need to decide, is this something you want to do, and is that the district that you envision retail being?
Would that hurt or help the homes for the value?
I think it gives them another option for sales in the future.
Because they could sell it to another homeowner and they could use it as a home, right?
Oh, yeah.
Changes.
Yeah, okay.
I mean, just generally,
But if they wanted some Buffalo Wild Wings when they come
Yeah,
in and buy
you
it.
could.
yeah, generally, if you look at it, legal non-conforming use is more effective in turning over a commercial area than it is residential area, because houses tend to get sold and stay residential. And oftentimes, cities are a little bit more lax on the vacancy in the residence than they would be in a commercial. So oftentimes, it's a little slower to turn over residential. You're just kind of setting the stage, not necessarily trying to run out the residential. You're more interested in maybe trying to say, commercial uses that are inconsistent, you know, those might turn over a little quicker, because businesses have a tendency to turn more often than residential, as far as a use-based perspective.
And so you're saying that if the trucking company sold to another trucking company, we have to allow it?
That's correct.
Immediate use, yeah.
As long as they don't have a gap in there, more than 6 months.
And we can't stop that, right?
No, that's really difficult. Yeah. Then we run into problems with the taping clause as far as, so we run into problems like, it's almost like a reverse condemnation. But legal non-conforming use is a proven tactic, and that's really what we have in our toolkit.
So if the council wishes to do something that's moving forward, what do we do? What do they need to do tonight?
They're just, I
Give
guess-
direction tonight that you want, that's what you want, and you need to put a
It's more like how do you want to approach it, and who do you want to have involved in deciding what we want to do.
What do you guys think of it?
I think we gotta take action on cleaning it up. I mean, we've been talking about it for how long, and it still sits dormant, so.
Yeah.
Do you want us to bring back a proposal for the council, easy to consider?
I think so.
Yeah, yep.
Okay, we'll do that.
You'd mentioned at P&Z rather than overlaying the whole thing, just tweaking the zoning codes also. I think the overlay is the better.
We'll look at different tools in the toolkit. So, I mean, I think the pros tonight was, does the council want to go down this road? And then we'll explore, we need to bring in what we think is the best option, or a couple options back to the council
Okay.
to chew on.
Okay. Is that it?
Now I think I'm done.
You're done? Ready? Appreciate it. Do we have to stick to this order that's on here? Because I know someone's gonna start painting at 4 in the morning and probably like to say that piece and get a couple hours sleep.
You can change the order,
Yeah.
agenda.
I would sure like to
Make a
just-
motion to move up something.
Can I get a motion to move up Public Works number 13 up to replace number 8?
Motion so moved.
After number 7, or yeah, ahead of number 8.
Can I hear one?
Replace it, because, yeah.
Motion so moved.
Second.
Okay, Hall.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Voss.
Yes.
Peacock.
Yes.
And Trapp.
Yes.
As we get started on a couple things, on the top, Aaron has, under Public Works, it says update timekeeping work orders. Aaron's looking at the work orders, and within a system he wants, there is fleet tracking systems, but I want to get clarification from the council. I've had several requests in wanting this completed. Are you wanting phone system or vehicle system?
I think a vehicle system makes way more sense.
And do you just want GPS information off of that, or do you want fleet miles? Kind of give us a little bit of guidance on what you want, and then Aaron and I can look at what it, he has some things he's looking at on a platform that can do this. I just want to know what you guys, what information you want, and we'll go pull that options.
My biggest thing is where the man hours spent.
Okay.
Is where what, sorry?
Where man hours are spent. I mean, back to the mowing, are we spending X amount in central and whatever?
GPS on the trucks, I'm gonna tell you that.
Right. So,
There's, I'll do whatever I need to, we can find whatever, but GPS on the truck is gonna keep track of, vehicles around town, but there's days trucks don't move from the shop, there's 2 or 3 days in a row that trucks don't move from the shop, the guys are out, tool cat, mowers, utility vehicles, doing jobs, so.
I'd suggest we can keep track of those hours by the workflow system that's gonna be implemented.
Yeah.
If you put it on here and I leave this there, then it's doing nothing for us. So
We have, for vehicles that we're looking at, currently, Aaron has his truck, 2 Dodge trucks. He is looking at adding to his fleet, we'd add the trucks that he has to that. We have the fire chief, EMS chief would be added to, we have 2 police cars to add that to. And if you're saying, let's go with the fleet, then we'll get options and bring those back to the next meeting.
I think fleet makes more sense.
Okay.
And I'd like, GPS is the big one, but I know, I've been looking into it too. There's a lot of different options.
Yep.
Give us an idea of what those options are and the cost difference between them.
Okay.
Because I know, there's a monthly fee to
Yep.
have that. So what's the difference if we start adding stuff on?
Yeah, okay.
What do you use, Jared?
we use QuickBooks Time, and it's on your cell phone. You set a geofence around the project you're on, it goes in, it notifies you, you select what task you're doing and off. It shoots it back to the computer, and 2 minutes later, I have a report every week for all of our guys.
And why can't we use that? Or is that, we pay for everybody's cell phone?
We pay,
You pay $35 towards everybody's cell phone, it's not paying for everybody's cell phone.
Right, but we pay towards everybody's cell phone,
You pay $35 to employees to answer the phone, not to be tracked by their phone.
I don't care how the man hours
In
are
the
tracked.
city, I'll speak for my guys and my guys only, but I have the pushback I'm gonna get is then we can budget for phones for everybody to carry from 7 to 3 while they're at work. Because nothing's gonna go on somebody's personal phone for potential to track them or have any idea where we're at outside of work, weekends, nights, isn't needed.
Yeah, maybe that's what we need to do.
yeah, I just need, we have 2 competing, we have
Yeah.
phone requests and
$20.
fleet requests, and I want to make sure that we're accomplishing what you want.
Let's back up for a minute. This never started as a Big Brother Overwatch thing. It
Right.
started as a cost analysis of how we can better improve our purchasing decisions to make efficient decisions. Are we spending 30% of our summertime hours on a guy that's 30 or 32 bucks an hour to sit on a mower? Or can we hire a part-time guy to sit on a mower 18 or 20 bucks an hour, which reduces a fourth or a fifth employee down the road to do something that has a higher skill set? That's where this started.
But then you also had a request, where are our fleet traveling to?
I could care less where the truck is.
Well, you had other council.
Me
members-
personally.
Right. You had other council members who said, where is our fleet traveling to? How many miles? What are they, you know? And the easy thing, rather than getting personal with it, is we'll just go pull the data. It's nothing personal. It's, here's where the truck's been and here's what it's doing. So we just need guidance from you guys on what system you're wanting. I agree. The pushback I've got is the phone, putting it on their personal phones. I've gotten pretty good pushback.
Yeah, maybe we
Define the what, though, putting what on their
A
phone?
tracker on your personal phone.
Okay, yeah. Say we take the tracker away. Would you get pushback if it was just a workflow management on your phone? Like, I'm doing this now. It's just a task list that you guys are checking out tasks on, and
That'd be something to discuss.
Once you start putting stuff on personal phones that is public related, it opens it up to FOIA requests, to be subpoenaed into courts. That's why a lot of times police don't have, like, to use their personal phones. Because anything public, you start bringing in your personal stuff, just like your personal email. If you start using that, it could be FOIA request or subpoenaed. That's why we can't.
would that be limited to just the system that we're utilizing on their phone, though?
Yeah.
Just the app?
As long as you can show that that's the only city use of it. I mean, it just opens the door for something that you'd have to fight.
Yeah, but a FOIA wouldn't be going through call logs and text messages on a personal phone.
Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
Hopefully
okay.
not, but
Well,
it
okay.
happens a lot.
I don't like the idea of putting things on people's personal phones. It's their personal property. I would like to find a way, I think the fleet tracking is important for the vehicles. But I agree with Jared, I also want to find some way that we're documenting work completed, hours spent on tasks, things like that.
Well, Aaron also is looking at a work order system. Doesn't do 100% what you're asking, but
Let's
he
see,
is.
we're talking about three different things. We're talking
We
about
are,
fleet
yeah. Exactly.
management, We're talking about tracking, even time tracking,
Time
daily
tracking.
Yep.
time tracking, and work order system are three completely different,
Yeah.
three different things.
Right.
We can implement all three, but
Yeah.
And I think all three would be very beneficial, but I don't like the idea of it on personal cell phones at all.
Well, we can buy cell phones for them to use.
Exactly.
When they're working.
Remove the,
And then when they go home, they set it right there and
Yeah.
charge you.
remove the
happens when they
allowance
leave the
that
cell
we're
phone at
doing.
home, though?
And then
So what happens when they leave the cell phone at home?
Don't leave the cell phone at home, you leave it in the office every night.
fire people. You're required, this is your job.
Yeah.
It's no different than any other business.
I will say if we're gonna be tracked using a phone, it'll be hard because if you want us to put in the mileage before we go on a call and come back from a call, is that the expectation then?
No, it's all automated.
No.
Okay.
I think it's what we're talking.
Yeah, I mean, every department's gonna be different. I mean,
Right.
tracking, you know, the tasks that you guys are completing is gonna be different than tracking the tasks that, you know, mowing and public works and things like that. It's different. So, no, we don't wanna slow you down in your response times or anything
You're
like
quite
that.
literally putting out fires. You don't have a routine fire every Sunday at 2 o'clock or a mowing schedule.
If you do, there's a bigger problem. There's a real big problem.
So are you guys wanting to, I'm just trying to keep things moving here. Are we looking for GPS? Are we gonna change and get rid of the allowance and just start buying city phones? I think that's what they're asking.
I think we need more information before we
Yeah, I
can
think
make
we
that
look into
decision.
it.
Yes, sir.
If you get a verbal voucher, you're gonna get people that aren't answering their phone after hours.
But if we give them a work phone, potentially, then that's something we need to consider too. Do people need, do we have on-call people that have to take the phone home
Yeah.
X number of days a week? I mean, those are all hurdles that we can deal with,
I think we're making it a lot more difficult than it needs to be, but yeah.
I think we need to go back to
We
just,
go months where we don't get a call, but if we get a water main break or anything, it's not just the one guy that's on call that gets a call and has to come in. And I can't expect everybody to carry around, be available 24/7 all the time.
No.
Not on call.
so I think we need to go back to, so fleet tracking, we obviously want to track the vehicles, so we need some more information on GPS trackers is one thing.
Yes.
Two, we can figure out some sort of time tracking system later.
I've been working on this time tracking thing for 18 months, and that's the lion's share of where our money goes, is where the man hour goes, and that's the one thing we're gonna overlook.
What do you want to do for time tracking?
What's that?
I said, what do you want to do for time tracking?
Put it on phones.
we
If,
have
the-
systems.
if an individual is gonna be so petty to say that I won't answer a phone because I'm not on call, maybe that individual's not the right person. And I'm not pointing that at any one person, but if any employee you have in any entity accepts that responsibility when accepting a position, that will be times when you'll be on call if a water main breaks or whatever, that's pretty ludicrous for them to say, no, you're on your own because I'm not getting paid for a cell phone.
So then,
Now, how much buy-in to the community do they really have?
yeah, so can we get more information then on how much it would cost to buy cell phones and how much the software would be?
It's $10 a month per phone for the time and the GPS deal.
And the functionality. I
And then
guess.
you have the phone expense, but the app is like 10 or 12 bucks a month.
Okay, so we have GPS, we have time tracking by cell phone, and then Aaron has a work order system that he's looking at.
What order do you want us to do, because we can't do all three? We can do all three, but if we implement all three, if we do the research and implement all three of those at once, we're setting ourselves up to fail. Let's do one thing at a time, get a work order system implemented, get it up and running and operational, or whatever order, if we do it incrementally.
I don't understand that. Why would we need to take an incremental approach? I'm confused by
A
this.
work order system isn't just signed by your phone day one, everybody's going on an hour, there's a learning curve.
Well, no, I understand that.
I'm
but
just saying, it might be 2, 3, 4, 6 months to get everything.
A learning curve better not be 4 months, it better not be 3 months. Learning curve is,
There's been no direction yet, so we don't know where to begin to look, is what I'm saying. So let's,
We can do
if we're gonna do work, I was tasked with the work order, and now I'm tasked with time tracking and fleet tracking and all this. I need to do one thing at a time, is what I'm saying.
We can get the GPS, I mean, we can have estimates by next meeting. I mean, we're 30
Yeah.
days out. We can have information for the next meeting.
okay, I think that's good.
And then
enough
will that
right now.
information include who's going to put them in the vehicles?
Not yet. I think right now, we just need to see what our options are. Okay.
And what
so-
it costs.
So the best direction, see what GPS trackers would cost for those vehicles,
Yeah.
what services they offer.
Okay.
See what it would cost us to provide cell phones
Yeah.
to Public Works. Are there any other departments we feel need to track? I mean, Public Works is gonna be tracking time. Does Alicia need to track time working on projects?
Well, my neighbor.
The part-time people that you've got coming in won't need, I mean, they'll report to you what they're doing with their time. So, phones for Public Works, Fire and EMS, again, not tracking time. So yeah, are we looking at,
And maybe look at what other communities are doing. Maybe we pay people $50 to use their own cell phone versus 35 and more.
Is that Jody
Nothing.
Myrtle saying that?
Nothing if we provide the phone.
Right.
You know, maybe some people, I mean, I would hate to carry two phones. That'd be like the end of me. I can hardly keep track of one, so I'd rather be paid and use my phone. But.
Right. Okay, well, we'll
So
get
I don't know
information
what-
on those.
And I don't,
those
other
three.
cities have to have the same issues that we're having, so look into what other people are doing.
All right. Sorry, Eric. Do you have other stuff you?
No.
You guys have any questions for Aaron? A lot of projects.
I have the water tower. What are we doing with the old water tower? My understanding was those were to be painted every so often, and we're paying a company to do that.
The 100,000 one, yes, we did renew the contract on the 40,000 one for,
Okay.
since it's gonna be taken out of service here hopefully within a month.
Okay.
And then it'll be, there's been discussions with Bob whether we find somebody to take it, we pay to have it taken down, do we find somebody that will take it down and take it, or what we want to do with that.
Okay.
There'll probably be a little pushback from the community, we heard what's fine with what's out, but it's a healthy maintenance contract for an empty tower to sit there
Yeah.
and paint just because of the logo on the side of it, I think.
So we'll get you information on timing. There's some details on that, engineering wise, we need to talk about, so.
Where are we at with selling the two 5500s? And-
Those are going out on the corner by the end of the week.
Okay.
See if we can't get a little feedback on
Do we have the new 250s or 350s or?
it. We don't have any.
Okay.
Is there any leads on a snowplow?
Sorry?
Any leads on a snowplow?
Not until we get rid of the other Dodges. I'm just sitting,
Gotcha.
wait until we get them sold and see what we get out of them and see what we can afford to go look at.
There's a motion here we need to make as well. Is there any information on that, Aaron, or do we just need to make the motion?
That's under public works, but that's the first time I've seen that. I don't know what it's about.
That just came in, DOT repair and maintenance agreement. It's in your packet.
Every 3-year renewal.
Yep.
Every 5 years, I think.
Regarding the highways, city streets.
Yeah. Motion to approve the agreement with IDOT for maintenance and repair of primary roads and municipalities for a term of July 1, 2026 to June 30, 2031.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Yes.
Schreier?
Yes.
Barnwell?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Get a couple hours sleep.
Anything else?
Thanks, Aaron.
Yep, you bet.
Thank you.
Make sure those lines are straight.
Yeah. Right.
Want to go back up to 8?
Yeah, what is,
All of this is for our bonding. Ben, I don't know if you want to touch on any of the legal stuff, but all this is,
Yeah, so number 8 is just the regular engagement agreement with Allers and Cooney to do this, which is actually, we just approved one for the TIF side of things. It's different attorneys, different areas that do that, but just for them to go forward with the preparation of the documents, and then the 3 different resolutions are just fixing a date to start the public hearing, to start the process for those loans. So it'll be a much bigger packet next month of resolutions. Because this one wasn't enough. And your clip over.
Motion to approve bond council engagement agreement with Ayers and Cooney PC in connection with the issuance from time to time bonds, notes, or other obligations.
Second.
Okay, Hall.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Triac.
Yes. The rest of these are pretty well just dates.
Yeah, they're all setting notice
Setting.
for next month
Setting the
for
notice.
3 different sets of bonds.
Make a motion not to exceed $5 million general obligation refunding capital loan notes. Sorry. Make a motion on resolution 2026-21, fixing date for a meeting on the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder.
Second.
Okay, Triac.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve resolution 2026-22, fixing the date for a meeting on the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder.
Second.
Okay, Triac.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Make a motion on resolution 2026-23, fixing date for a meeting on the proposition to authorize a loan agreement and the issuance of notes to evidence the obligations of the city thereunder.
Second.
Okay, Triac.
Yes.
Bermal.
Yes.
Boss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Hall.
Yes.
Looking at ordinance 441, that is, as you requested, bring to you removing the location, 10-mile location for the city administrator. Any questions for me on that? Ben prepared the ordinance for your consideration.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times, school districts do this as well. The superintendent moves into town, or they need to move into town at a certain amount of time. I like the idea. I know it's been a pain for you, Kirk, but you were trying, and I mean, as a city, as the council, we can work with people, but I think it's a good idea because you get less of the fly-by-night type person where you could. And it's, when you're paying the sewer bill, it's a little bit different than if you're not paying the sewer bill. Whether you like it or not, that's, you know, and I'm only one vote, but.
I agree with you, Jody, and I agree with you, Ed, on a majority of that. However, you came out of an economic time where there was sub-3 money on houses. We're not getting applicants in the last 2 go-arounds from within. So asking somebody to move to town and jump from a 3% mortgage to a 6 or 6.5, that changes their lifestyle a lot. And if we're not getting applicants within that 10 or 15 mile radius, what options do we have?
Well, currently, we haven't come to conclusion on, I guess, maybe that has to be a special strategic meeting to go through some things, but we haven't whittled that field down yet or even closed the window, I don't believe. But currently, at least a lot of the ones I'm looking at are at least 30 miles away, but I'm not prepared, I'm again one to say here, but I'm not prepared to offer somebody a job that's traveling 30 minutes to our city. That just doesn't set a good precedent moving forward, and I think if we're all about, you know, fresh air and moving forward with lots of different things as a community, that would be something, and I don't know if you put a timeline on that or what, but getting someone to be here, you know, on a daily. You know, Kirk did such a great job, you know, it was easy, you know, you're 9 point whatever, you know, just like I am away from work. But if we're all looking to move forward, and like I said, I don't know legally how you can tell someone, you know, if you put a time date on it or what, but being right here with us is kind of a big deal.
So, couple questions. First of all, we do require the city administrator to be in Granger working, correct? I mean, we're gonna require them to be in City Hall the majority of their time working. So we're not talking about a remote candidate who's somewhere halfway across the country or anything like that, correct? Are we all?
That's my understanding.
Yeah, I don't think it's a remote position.
Okay. Do we, Ben, this is probably a question for you. I like the idea of incentivizing to live here. Do we have the option to potentially have some sort of pay increase if they move to Granger? Like Ed said, okay, if you want to live outside of Granger, it's going to be this. If you move to Granger, you can see this much of a bump salary-wise. Is that an option?
Yeah, that would be an option you can put in if you live within the 10 miles or whatever, however you want to do it.
I would take the 10
Additional
miles off
bonus or
and say, if you live within city limits, it's this much. If you are outside of city limits, it's this much less. If that's an option, that's definitely something I would consider,
Well,
because
it would be, you don't really want to put a negative in, so it'd be this is the base, or if you live in the city limits, it's the base.
Sure,
You get
but-
an additional X amount on it.
whatever the wording would need to be to incentivize, but
When we did the original ordinance to create the position, because it was from whole cloth, I think it was Perry had the 10-mile limits. We talked about all of this, or the council at the time talked about had the discussion of, do we say within X number of months? Then you just get to the same, you just kick the can down the road,
Right.
and you still have to waive it. And so the question kind of is, do we want to just take that limit out so we don't have to worry about waiving it if we have a good candidate, or do we leave it in and then just trust that if we have somebody that is right in every other regard, but the distance, we address it then? Or do you kind of do a hybrid, which is what you're saying of
I
leave
would,
something in or leave it in, put an incentive in for living in town?
I would take
Whatever you
the
want.
restriction out, because we're seeing candidates from all over the metro, and then, you know, from, like Clint was saying, up to 20, 30 miles away. To Jared's point, I don't want to force somebody to move right now, but if we could incentivize them in the future, hey, economy's kind of changing, these options are available as we have, you know, more houses available and things like that, then yeah, let's give some incentive to actually be here in the city, would be my thought.
I'm just saying, you're asking this person to be the face of the community. You're all part-time employees. I know you have a lot of meetings. I know you have a lot of requirements. But this is the person who is in my retired military member. This is the tip of the spear. You're asking this person to be in all of these meetings and all these interactions with everyone in the area about how wonderful it is to live in Granger, and they don't. How wonderful is the water, and they don't drink it. So yeah, I understand the interest rates. I've got family members who are struggling right now, but I've got 3 of them moved onto my street with the high interest rates because they want to live in Granger. I want this person to have 100% buy-in to our community. All of my kids, all of my grandkids live in Granger. There are good things and there are bad things. I don't want the person who's trying to get other people to move to Granger not living in Granger. You can make your decision. You've been elected. I trust you to make the right decision. I'm not on social media. I'm not going to complain about it. All I'm saying, that's my perspective. You're asking this person to sell this, but not to use it.
So I think
If
we go back to.
mail you an
the-
application, will you return it?
Return it filled out, right?
Right, yeah.
Listen,
Are we?
I'm just saying, that's, you know, that's where I'm at. I mean,
I don't disagree.
I don't think any of us
I feel like our
disagree.
hands are just,
We're asking a very,
I can't, I already told you, I can't apply. I can't say you gotta have something in town and then kick everybody else. No, I just,
we're asking for someone with a very specific skill set, and he's within 10 miles, and all of the comments you just suggested to us apply to Kirk. They do. And he's within the 10-mile radius.
I'm not anti-Kirk.
No, I'm not saying you are. I'm not even suggesting you are. What I'm saying is, Kirk doesn't live in Granger, and we're asking for someone to fulfill a very, very complex and specific list of knowledge, skills, and abilities.
Then just provide an incentive if they do live here.
Yeah.
I mean, we understand that you can't sell the family farm or whatever, then you don't make as much.
Allowance that will help offset that. I realize interest rates are high now, but.
I guess, are we willing to sacrifice competency over residency? There's only less than 5 towns that require you to live in the town and state of Iowa. Only 2 that I actually found that has it in the ordinance, so, I don't know. It'd be very hard to pick a very qualified candidate, shut him down because he doesn't want to live here, because he doesn't want to like uproot.
That's why you put it as an incentive to move here.
Right, but still.
If he doesn't want to move here, or he can, or that's still fine. He can still do the job just as good as anyone, but it's different.
I just think we really weed down the candidate pool doing that for a very specific job. That is very important, so, I don't know. I see it both ways, I do, but.
It's still up to us, the discretion of whatever the package we offer the individual is.
Right.
I don't think we need to make it known publicly or otherwise in a job description or anything like that if we're going to be offering any type of incentive or not. If someone wants to move here, then this is your offer package. If someone doesn't want to move here, and I think that's going to be a very important question during the interview process, if you don't want to move here, here's your offer package.
I mean, is that something that has to be disclosed, I guess?
I don't know, you can make an offer to negotiate salary with whoever
Yeah.
you want to hire,
Yeah.
they're gonna be negotiating from there too.
Do we have any issues or restrictions with asking a person in an interview if they're willing to move here and letting them know that, you know, incentives may be based on residency? Okay. I definitely think that should be part, I know you kind of forwarded some interview questions. I think that should be a portion of it, is discussing, you know, we're asking, why do you want to work at Granger? Are you going to live here? Finding a way to do that for all the candidates as well.
The question before you becomes, what do you want your base position to be that's in the ordinance? Do you want it to say you have to live here and then you'll adjust from there if they don't? Or do you want to take this out and say, we'll just take care of that within the interview, hiring, negotiation practice?
I don't like the idea of having a requirement in the ordinance and then waiving it constantly, because then the community's going to be going, why is it in the ordinance if you're just going to waive it? I think we remove it, and any sort of offer package incentivizes residency in the city.
I see what you're trying to do, I don't know. It seems a little bit backhanded or underhanded, maybe. I mean, if we don't want somebody living here, or we don't care, then don't put it in there, or don't offer it that way. If we do care, and we do want somebody to live here, and maybe that limits our, you know, we're not gonna get the best candidate because of it, then that's the option. But I'm just one person.
Is it as a crow flies or as a car drives? I mean,
That's a can of worms.
I mean, that's what it came down to with you.
No, I'm well with that.
I guess I'm less worried about the 10 miles and more worried about, are you drinking the water? Are you living in the community? Are you paying the taxes that we all pay? Versus X number of miles. So that's even more limiting.
Anything else? Okay. Motion to approve amending ordinance number 441 of the Code of Ordinances of the City of Granger, Iowa to revise the city administrative requirements. First reading.
Second.
Okay, Hall?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Bermal?
No.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Schwab?
Yes.
And I'm not making a motion to waive second or third.
Moving on.
Joe?
All good.
You wait?
Are you gonna request from the state a camera and radar gun for if they decide to build that road over there, since it's gonna be the Autobahn coming out of Twin Eagles? Huh, I'll take that for 100 right now. Nothing there? All those high school kids coming out of there? No, you good? Nothing to report? You're good? All is
We
well?
just had their graduation for the fifth graders.
Oh, yeah, fun. You get any pictures? No? I love the pictures. Guess that's moving on to you two?
Last month we did emergency vehicle operations training, so driver's training. And then we also did a controlled burn north of town on Xavier, so it was good training opportunity for us there. And then last time we had our Bud's Pub delivery. Thank you to the mayor, Dan for stopping by. It was a great turnout, so.
I just have our numbers to report for the month of April. We had 26 calls, 11 were EMS, 7 were MVCs or water rescue, 8 fires, and 100% staffed. So another 100% for the month. And then a year to date, we've had 114 calls and only 1 miss so far this year.
That was the one that was, like, you're out on something else, right?
It was back
I
in
feel
January.
like
I
we
was gonna say, I feel like it was
were,
back in January, right? Like you were,
Might have been a second on or something.
I don't remember what it is without going back to look. It was in January.
excellent, excellent. Yeah, yeah. We got someone leaving. Is there a reason for that, or just moving on, or
Just
He wants more hours.
wants more hours? Okay. And then just so we don't have to come back to it again, oh, maybe we better. Yeah, go ahead and, if I can get a motion for the letter A.
Make a motion to approve the resignation of Matthew Wariwoda, effective immediately.
Second.
Okay, Schwab?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
You wanna talk about letter B?
Yeah, any questions on that? So the base is at the top for each position, so firefighter, driver, EMT, or sorry, EMR, EMT, AEMT, paramedic. And then based on what position they are, that's how they're paid. Any questions?
Right, that was the scale you guys were trying to work on.
Yeah.
Figured out, okay.
Yeah, so the top one is the current, bottom is the one that we're looking to get approval on.
Anybody got questions? No? Someone want to give it a motion?
Yeah, motion to approve updated pay scale for fire and EMS personnel.
Second.
Paul.
Yes.
Kaya.
Yes.
Burnwell.
Yes.
Voss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Alicia, seriously? What, she's resigning?
Stephanie Cox, yes.
Yeah, I'm
I'll be
like-
very quick on this. So she has an injured family member, so this is just
Oh,
more timing, and
okay.
she's providing care. So she just needs to open that seat back up for anyone who can designate time.
Okay.
Motion to approve the resignation of Stephanie Cox from the Parks and Rec Board effective immediately, term ending 12/31/27.
Second.
Okay, Paul.
Yes.
Trapp.
Yes.
Burnwell.
Yes.
Voss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Okay, and B, that's the batting cages and stuff over here?
Yes.
That you talked about last time, right?
So this will be the first big purchase for those steel poles. This was the least expensive option, and we go pick them up ourselves and put them here, since it's locally.
Mhm.
This was like 7,000 less than any other
Wow.
estimate we received for these poles. So we'd like to get moving quickly because I do have the unexpended funds to pay for these now. So I'd like to go ahead and get them put in the ground so they can start curing. And then for the concrete pad that's required after we get those cured, I have a request into 10 Square Man to assist with the funding of that concrete pad. And that won't be come out until June, so the decision on that. So I would just like to get this moving.
And you have a way to transport those back?
Yes, Public Works has said their truck and trailer are able to transport them here.
Okay. Motion to approve the purchase of 6 by 19-foot steel poles from Des Moines Steel Company for $9,159.78.
Second.
Paul.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Burnwell.
Yes.
Voss.
Yes.
Chichak.
Yes.
Christie?
Yeah, so, I know you guys were here, but every year I usually, the Granger Days Committee always likes to take any proceeds over and above what we bring in for revenue to pay for expenses, to go towards something. We have asked for equipment in the past and decided not to. What we'd like to see is that proceeds be used for parks and trails, enhancements or improvements. I kind of sent you out a sheet, yeah, well, I said even that. I was thinking Centennial Park, that's where Granger Days is held. Eventually probably will be moved to the 26 acre before, after my time here. Or it could be used towards her University of Iowa partnership, so, for the next payment or so. But I did give you a sheet with some examples, just, our committee, with our businesses and everybody sponsoring towards it, I think this is a good incentive for them to see what we would do with that money, just to put it back into the community. So I would like to do this going forward. This just be a common thing that we do for every Granger Days, so. Instead of buying something that.
Just to buy it?
Just to buy it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Could we advertise that in our, stuff that this money's going?
Yeah.
That might increase people wanting to.
So our sponsorship sheets that we always give out to all our businesses, it will say up there, but I could put something on the back too that might show some of the things that we would like to use money towards.
Sure.
But this is the sponsorship we give out to the businesses when we go and look for funding. So we will advertise that for sure. I think as a business owner, seeing that, and giving money for Granger Days, knowing that that's where it's gonna go, is gonna, be better for it.
Yeah.
Be better for us, so.
So I guess what kind of action do you need?
Well, I think we should have an action allocating the proceeds, right? Should have an action on there or not?
I mean, the Granger Days committee can as part of donating or giving the money, can allocate what it's
Yeah, you
used for.
allocating where it goes, so I don't think we need to.
So I don't think the city council need, you just tell the city where you want it used for,
Okay.
so you're giving the money, so you can.
Okay.
Cool.
Thank you.
Oh, my favorite, mosquito control.
Yeah. So this is just our annual contract with mosquito control. In the contract, they're to give a 4-hour notice. The contract that's in the packet is last year's. I have not received the one for this year, but last year when we approved it, we asked for them to give a 4-hour notice before they sprayed, which they did. And then I would post it out. But residents are also, if they don't want any spraying, if they want notified personally, they're supposed to call City Hall, which we do have residents that do call and get put on the notification list. But otherwise, I do post on Facebook, the website, and the website does have text messaging if you do sign up and subscribe on the website. I did put the one out there. If you do subscribe, I did for the downtown paint, the restriping of the parking. So if you did get that, I did put that out there. So
Do we have any idea what the cost is gonna be?
it's the same. It's
46.35?
Yes.
Okay.
It's been the same for the last 3 years, I think. 3 or 4.
It is a fun game for the kids. They hear the truck, they all come running.
Do they do that when it's dark or whatever?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I always, every time I call and ask them, I always try to get them to do it after 8, at least. But again, they're supposed to give me a 4-hour notice, and
So you're checking
all
your
I
phone
can
at
do
6?
is just put it on Facebook or website or if you get on the text, if you sign up for that, you're gonna get a text message, so. We could, keep putting it in the newsletter and make sure people do subscribe out there so that they get notified.
I mean, is it
But
4 hours?
if they call, they will get a note, if they want to get it by a phone call by mosquito control, they do call personally too, if you want to get on that notification list.
Oh, we should promote that. I mean, not that I want to spend more
Yes.
time tonight, but it's like really a 4-hour window, right? Like, you get,
That's
is
the
it
best
ba-
they
I'm
can
assuming
do
it's based
because of
on
the weather.
wind? Yeah.
Or the weather,
yeah.
the wind, that's the best they can do.
Right, okay.
How often do they spray?
I don't
like
know
once a
that they
month.
have a,
I thought it was like a couple times this summer, it always felt like you hear buzzing.
when needed, I mean, it's not.
It's like 3 times or something.
If
And they
it rained
just-
first.
I did give them all the dates of the farmer's market.
I need to go over to my.
And then Ranger
daughter's
Days, they
house.
always try to spray, but they'll do any events that we got going on. So I did make sure they knew all the dates of the farmer's market there in the park. So, if there's anything else you could think of anything else going on,
Is there like a max number that they'll spray for that dollar amount?
I don't think so.
Anything else? Motion to approve mosquito control of Iowa contract for the period of June 1, 2026 through September 1, 2026, with a 4-hour notice before spraying, posted on Facebook and website with text messaging.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Yes.
Schreier?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Cheechako?
Yes.
You guys good with Wellmark still?
Yeah, it's our same.
Standard gouge.
Yeah, standard gouge is about right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
Motion to approve insurance renewal with Wellmark effective July 1, 2026.
Second.
Okay, Paul?
Yes.
Schreier?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Haas?
Yes.
Cheechako?
Yes.
Do we have a committee to look at that, like we usually do, or no?
I usually give it to my employees, but I can with certain employees, I should say.
I thought we had a committee set up to,
We shopped it last year, three different, one of them wouldn't take it and the other one was higher.
That's liability
They're all
insurance, yeah.
yeah. So we're not finding, we did the same thing with the health in the past and.
They
weren't
give
finding
us
it.
alternative, other options, but what we're finding is, you could get a lower deductible, but it's gonna be a higher monthly premium.
Yeah.
More co-pays, more other
Right.
costs. And this, I know this one that we're on does fit a lot of our employees' needs right now, but obviously, if you want to get a committee back together, we need to get that, we need to probably get that together by January or so. And I am not opposed to that if we want to do that again. So they usually go out and they shop, but I know that they say municipalities there's just so many options over a business. But yes, we can definitely do that again.
What is this amendment for number 20?
So that's the budget amendment that we had a public hearing on.
Okay.
So primarily, it's owned vehicle purchases. That was I had the plow in there, but he doesn't know if he's gonna get it before, but I had to get it in there just in case. And the sale of the vehicles that he's selling. And then there's transfers between funds, debt service adjustments, and then just some year-end operating expenses that were either not originally budgeted or needed to be reclassified, like the park, that we had some work done at the 26 acre park. So it's basically those expenses.
You guys got any questions on that?
Nope.
Okay.
Motion to approve resolution 2026-24, adopting amendment to fiscal year 25-26 City of Granger budget.
Second.
Okay, Hall?
Yes.
Triac?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Okay, which one of you's going this week?
That's me.
Okay.
All right. Chris and I got together before the meeting tonight. We went over all invoices, purchase orders, claims, any bonds. There is none. Reviewed the delinquent list, bank statement reconciliation, balance sheet, outstanding checks, bank statements, void checks, journal entries, budget report, timesheets. Didn't find anything to do with those except for, we do have two, not really concerns, but more questions. One is with Snap Media. That is the media company that we contract with to do the podcasts, and we're 3 behind right now, so they owe us 3, and
we had a 6-month contract. We'll make sure we match podcasts with what's paid.
Yep. And then the second thing was, there's an awful lot of trips to Menards, but no one's submitting the rebate forms. Should we be submitting the rebate forms? Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was like $700 spent at Menards, and I'd really like 11% of that back.
Yeah, $77.
Right?
$77.
Yep. So
Okay.
that's it.
Okay.
And before I put this into stuff, you take that.
I just need a motion on finance.
Make a motion to approve the finance committee report.
Second.
Okay, Triac?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Okay, for me, the only real thing I have is a
We gotta
question.
approve bills.
Oh, I thought you already approved it.
No, that was a finance report.
Everything good with all the bills?
Yeah, we're just holding up on SNOD right now.
Yeah.
I will make a motion to approve the approval of all bills of for payment. Sorry.
Second.
Okay, Triac?
Yes.
Hall?
Yes.
Bermal?
Yes.
Voss?
Yes.
Cheechak?
Yes.
Mine's
your turn.
Mine's more of a question. Strategic planning meeting. How do we go about that?
Who's gonna be there?
Is it possible to have, like, everyone sitting in this room, pretty much?
Yeah, you just you have to set it as a council meeting, so agenda, notice.
Is
Work
that a
session.
closed
Work
session, or how does that work?
No.
No? I just have some questions moving forward as when we get the team together, we start looking to replace you. How does that, like, there has to be some sort of pre-conversation, I'm assuming, about
Level
how-
set expectations.
Right, but because there's only 2 council members on that, we can just meet
Yes,
and discuss those things.
yes.
I think we should have a strategic meeting and have me go over land. What I know, who owns it, where we have proposed roads, where we have water, where we have sewer, what costs, what doesn't cost. And just, because I've been asked, where's the strategic plan? Well, it's been Bob and I looking at how are we growing, who wants to annex, who owns what land and what they're willing to do, and then what you did with the land use. There's a lot of information out there of where we're at and what's possible. I think it'd be good for the city to take all that information and then move forward doing a strategic plan that everyone is on board and knows what's out there.
Can we get that information documented? I mean, because we're gonna want a copy that we could share with whoever steps into the new administrative position. Sure. That's my concern.
Yeah.
I want something that we can share with them when they get here, and it's not just all word of mouth.
Yeah.
You want me to write a strategic plan?
No, just when you're talking about land, what's planned out, like what we've got, owners, all that kind of stuff, is that something that we can have documented that we can share with the new person?
Yeah, I mean, it's the land use plan, it's our annexation document. Yeah.
It's the inner workings and the relationships and the unsaid words and everything in the last 30 years of history or 50 years of history. How do you put that in a document?
I know we're not gonna get all of that.
Right, but I mean, that's truthfully, outside of the land use map, that's what you need to know. Go build relationships. And so that needs to be a key part when who you hire is how personable, all that.
Back to your question, Mayor, about who can be what. You can have a closed session, like if you narrow it down, if your group narrows it down to 2 or 3, and you want to have a closed session to discuss with the full council, everything about that, that's an allowed reason for a closed session. It's a published council meeting, but the agenda item can be, roll call, go into closed session, come out of closed session.
Okay.
Or do it at the end of a regular meeting,
Right. So,
So you can do that in closed session, but a strategic planning meeting or something like what Kirk was talking about would be an open session, but you can just set a meeting whenever for that.
okay. If you feel like that's something we need to do, I mean, we need to be getting going on something like that. Clock's ticking pretty quick, unfortunately, so I guess, availability wise,
I would suggest a parcel map and put some sort of color-coded legend on it, like a heat map, based on said landowner's willingness to work or with the city as far as development or, we know Spellman's is gonna be a tough one. There's a lot of family members there that they've gotta approve. Maybe that falls into the pink category instead of red, because there is a possibility, right? We also know that Rooter is gonna be green, so.
I mean, part of it is someone needs to be taking notes because just because I put it on a map still doesn't tell the story. Sure.
Right.
I mean, and I've told the story over and over and over of land. Here's what it is, here's what we can do, here's what the owner's thinking, here's when they would annex. I'd like to do it. I can put the maps together, but somebody needs to be kind of absorbing that and saying, okay, here's what this means. I mean, just because you see Eichner's 54 acres doesn't mean anything. But Rich is actively chasing deals. He wants to put something together. He's waiting for 17 and 141 to get lengthened, and he hasn't annexed yet, but he will.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what Chris is asking for, though.
Yeah.
You just mentioned, you've said it over and over again. That's great. Thanks for saying it. Can you write it down for us? I think that's all Chris is asking for, if I'm not mistaken.
The map, like you're talking about, like Jared's talking about, kind of color coding, landowners, that sort of information.
Yeah. No, I'll take all the notes you want me to, if I can write that fast.
if we have a strategic planning, it's gonna be recorded.
True.
So,
Yeah.
she's got it right there. Okay, so do we need to set that date tonight, or can we make some individual?
You can set a date whenever, you don't have to set anything else.
Okay. I had not received any correspondence. Christie Kirk, no correspondence? Okay, meeting adjourned.